Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots. All right, everybody. Welcome to WTF Nation Radio. We are the voice of the United States Army WTF Moments. Today is the 19th day of January, the year of our Lord, 2018. I am your host, Kaz. I'm joined here by my good buddy, Pookie.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, my brother?
How much?
So it's not like 20 below zero where you are now, so I guess it's a little bit more comfortable.
Oh, yes, totally. It's not like last week where I turned into an icicle literally.
Well, you said, I think, what, you had a frozen beard?
Oh, that was like a month ago. Like the beer I was drinking was like actually freezing to my beard.
Oh, no.
Like
okay.
icicles.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, we had the big old cold snap, man. It was, I mean, you know, a lot of folks, a lot of our listeners are from all over the country, and they're located right now all over the world. And, you know, it gets really cold in some places and not so cold in others. So I'm in the North Texas area. It doesn't really get that cold. The coldest we usually experience is around 20 degrees is usually about as cold as it gets. We'll get maybe an ice storm or two around this time of year. But let's see, Tuesday? It was Tuesday. The temperature plummeted here. When I woke up Tuesday morning, it was 12 degrees.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And it warmed up to like 20, and then it dropped down that evening to like 6 degrees. And that's
pretty cool for Texas.
That is very cold.
I don't know. You're all probably panicking down there, not knowing how to handle that.
Yeah, it was just really interesting because people either they don't know how to deal with it, or you know they don't have the heavy coats and they don't know how to do stuff. So it's, you know, I've got a nice heavy jacket. I've been in cold environments before. I mean, the jacket I have I used to ski with. I apologize, all of our lovely Facebook Live listeners. I neglected to hit the broadcast button on the Facebook. So here we are. Thank you for the heads up, everybody. So I just to recap for our Facebook Live listeners, this is Pookie. Pookie's here with me. My name is Kaz. This is WTF Nation Radio. We are the voice of the U.S. Army WTF Moments, and today is the 19th day of January, 2018. And we were just talking about the weather and how the weather in Texas normally doesn't get too cold, but we experienced like a 12-degree day and a morning that was 6 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was it's brutal. It's brutal for my part of the country. Maybe not so much where you are, Pookie, or where others are, but it was definitely a shock. But
it got cold enough to freeze the lake up here where I live, and a lot of people haven't seen the lake freeze like that.
You know, the East Coast. I lived in Ohio for a little bit, and I remember the rivers would freeze and they would create ice jams. You know, they would freeze and break up and and break up, and then all that ice would stop the water from flowing, and then it would just go sideways, and the river would expand quite a bit.
Yeah, that used to happen a lot up in Pennsylvania if we had real bad cold.
Right. Cold. So guess who we have as a guest tonight?
Oh no.
We have Guardians of the Green Beret are going to be here. So if you thought Stolen Valor was tenacious,
so this is on a whole new level.
When they were going after someone who was Stolen Valor, pretending to be a military veteran and try to get some kind of compensation or benefits, or you know, a discounted meal or whatnot. These guys tackle people that pretend to be Green Berets, and that's something that's never crossed my mind.
You know, going around DC, I'll say this: going around DC, sometimes you see some of the homeless guys. They'll have some signs up to make you scratch your head, but
Mhm.
I understand like that's a big veteran homeless capital, I guess for some reason. I could never figure that out, but you'll see some stuff that are like, nah, that's not true.
We see I see a couple of guys, and I got to kind of scratch my head a little bit because it'll say like a veteran need help, and then okay, my heart goes out to him, but then there's so much fraud out there that
Oh, exactly.
you have to question. I've got a pretty good heart, man. I like to help people, but I don't like to get screwed or taken advantage of, and it's yeah, it really hurts my soul to see that a veteran suffering, but I don't know if are they really a veteran or are they saying they're a veteran? Because these same folks at the corner that I pass almost every day, they're only out there when the weather's favorable. If it's raining, there's no one there. If it's cold, there's no one there. They kind of recirculate signs. I've seen the same sign on different people on multiple occasions.
It's the same way in Houston. You'll see the same guys out there, but the sign will say something different, like every other week.
Yeah, it's much more in I guess the springtime or the fall. Summertimes here are pretty hot and uncomfortable, but
see, the way I always was told is if a panhandler comes up to you and asks you for change, look down at their shoes. If they're wearing something that looks relatively comfortable, they're out there just trying to make easy money.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy walk up to me one time wearing Jordans. He was wearing some junky ass clothes, but he had like $300 pair of shoes on. Wow. I was like, nah.
Yeah, we have a reporter here. Her name is Clarice Tinsley, and she likes to go after those people. I don't know if I'd have the balls to confront someone like that. I guess it would be easy to do if you had a team of people with you, but I'm not going to go and bust someone's balls. Someone who's down on their luck, and if me legitimately down on their luck, and me give them a rash of shit. Just for good practice, I don't carry cash on me anyway.
If you like in my area, if you frequent the downtown area of Fredericksburg, Virginia, you see who the homeless people are down there. You know because you see them all the time. You know who they are, and then you'll see that one occasional guy that just appears out of nowhere. You're like, I don't know you.
We had a woman. Yeah, it was a female in Dallas, died during that cold snap when it was like 12 degrees. It warmed up to 20, and then it brought down to 6. She was in a bus stop in a wheelchair, and she died in the bus stop sitting in her wheelchair.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah,
weren't they making like a big hoopla about that? It got cold, and like hospitals were just like releasing people.
Well, I didn't hear that. I heard there were shelters that had opened up, and they were going and scooping up all these homeless folks, and bringing them to the shelters. The shelters were open. She was approached, by people in a van, and they were going to take her to the shelter so she could eat and stay warm and whatnot. And she wouldn't go. She wanted to stay in the bus stop.
Yeah, there's some people like that, But no, what I was getting at was apparently, I guess, a hospital just like dumped someone pretty much. It was cold as hell. They're like, get the hell out. And this person was like in no coat, no nothing, just like plain old clothes. Yeah, they just like, get the heck out.
No way, dude. No
way.
I couldn't do that. Hell no. So we've got a fun packed evening this evening. We're going to talk to the guys. Let's see, Guardian 6 and Dom from Guardians of the Green Beret. They'll be here at the top of the next hour. I guess Pookie and I are going to shoot the BS for a little bit. I've got some news that I want to cover. I mean, we are a veteran-run radio station. We represent and are fans of the veteran community big time, and it would be remiss if we didn't mention the budget. I'm just not sure if I want to talk about it now or if I want to talk about it after we talk to Guardians of the Green Beret. So help me make that decision.
That's been the only thing that's been on news all day.
Right.
That's the only thing you've heard about.
I was, I've been working all day, and it was brought to my attention. It was hinted to me last night that that Minx needed someone to stand in. So I was like, let me check my schedule. I'll let you know by mid-show. Last night, I let her know. I said, I'm available if you need me. Then this morning, I got to work, and she sent me a message. Says, yeah, I'm not gonna be done with work until much later. So I'm on. So here I am. Hello. So here I am. I'm during the day. It's like I'm thinking, okay, it's been kind of slow. I can probably do a little bit of research, some reading of the news or whatever during work. And today was just batshit crazy. I didn't have 10 minutes, if I was using the bathroom or something. That's like the only time that I had. If I'm eating lunch, that was like the only time I had to myself. The rest of the whole day was nothing but, shitting and getting. So I'm like, fuck.
Oh, you'd be like me. I was sitting on I was like news all day trying to find news other than this budget thing.
News other than the budget, right? So
I was just struggling.
So I got off. I took off a couple hours early so I can get home, get my stuff set up, and start reading the news. We were assigned a little bit of homework from ICE, and so I consumed that homework, and then I got a couple more articles that kind of bounce off and give a little bit of clarity to the memo, and then I looked at the time. I was like, holy crap. So when I sent you a message, hey, man, do you get any news stories that don't have anything to do with the budget?
Dude, I spent all day long. I was literally, it was just like, what is going on with this? That's all they were talking about.
Yeah, man, that's, I thought, I'm really glad I didn't follow my normal schedule. My normal schedule would have put me here about 15 minutes before airtime.
Oh, yeah.
And that would have been a disaster, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about the budget then. We've got
let's just shoot at it.
We got 45 or so minutes.
I mean, we can talk about it all night if we want to. I mean, every mainstream media is doing it.
There's a lot of when you watch the media and you watch some of the reports on this, it's all the Republicans blah 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 or the Democrats blah blah blah. I'm thinking it's both of these bastards that are butting heads and no one's budging. In my opinion, it's all hung up on DACA, which is the Dreamer Act, and the Dems aren't budging, the Republicans aren't budging because there's a lot of shit involved there, and I don't know those details. So as of midnight, unless you do, if you do, please, I'll give you the floor.
I mean, the gist of it, you pretty much said the gist of it. The only thing that just irritates me about this whole thing is a lot of people don't realize is when the government shuts down, the people who are shutting the government down still get paid. That's the one thing that just irks the hell out of me.
That hasn't been determined yet, but during the last shutdown, that was the case. There were employees that were furloughed. People didn't go to work unless their projects or whatever were fully funded, or from some other source, or they were already funded. Period. And then there had to be a special provision to provide them two things: back pay. Back pay would cover the hours that they would have worked. But once they are furloughed, they're eligible for unemployment benefits. So attached to that is if they've accepted unemployment benefits and they accept their back pay, they have to pay the unemployment back. That was the fact. Ooh. That was the fact last year, and that's probably. I'd rather take my back pay because I make more money in my salary than I would through unemployment. So that'd be a no-brainer.
That's true.
So whether people did or not, I don't know how I've never accepted. I've never taken unemployment, so I'm not really sure how that goes.
It's a set base depending on what state you're in.
Yeah, isn't it? It's not federally. Is it federally funded or is it state funded?
Honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't know, but I know each state has its different unemployment laws. But it's I think it's a maximum now of is it 90 days, 3 months that you can collect.
I don't know.
It used to be 6 months. It used to be 6 months, but I think they cut it back. And don't quote me if I'm wrong on that, but because I did collect unemployment when I got out of the military. I do remember having to deal with that insanity.
So I've got this memo. It's I don't know, 12 or 14 pages long. I'm not going to read it word for word. There's a couple of bullet items that are really important. They're very important. They're very important, especially for active duty, and especially for reserve members and guard.
I was about to mention my roommate actually got his drill can this weekend.
Right, I heard that's going around.
Yeah, they weren't even gonna mess with it.
Anyway, this paragraph, which is the second paragraph, I'm not gonna. I mean, there's a bunch of introductions and memorandum for blah 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 blah. You guys have all seen the military memorandums. They're pretty wordy, and they say things that I guess ought to be there, but they're really not that important to someone who just wants to read the meat of the memorandum. This is the second paragraph. All military personnel performing active duty will continue in a normal duty status regardless of their affiliation with accepted or non-accepted activities. Military personnel will not be paid until such time Congress makes appropriated funds available to compensate them for their period of service. Further,
that agitates the hell out of me.
It does agitate me, because I mean, you can't take care of your family. I mean, the military is a very strong force that have a mission, and when I was in the military, I don't know, I wasn't making $1 million a year, but I would notice if I got a no pay due, definitely. They use the words accepted and non-accepted. Accepted activities are, this all applies for everybody except for these groups of people. And non-accepted are groups of people that are they're not going to go to work. They're not going to do their thing. Like on military bases, MWR. Lots of people like to go down and shoot pool, or play some chess, or play some cards, or take the trips to museums, or whatever the MWR provides. Those are kind of in a gray area, because if the funds for those activities were appropriated already, then you're good to go. If they were not, then they're not going to happen. Staffing at MWR facilities. If the monies were appropriated, and they use a certain term here, then they're fine to happen. But more often than not, all the civilians, you won't see them in the MWR facilities anymore. The government is authorizing Joes. So you're going to see these detail lists come out saying that they need each battalion needs to give 10 or 15 volunteers, and you guys are going to be running the MWR facilities and the golf courses and things like that. They're going to grab soldiers for those duties, and the civilians are no longer going to be there, if at all. I mean, if they choose to keep these facilities open, they're going to have to man them with military personnel, not civilians.
That's just, see, I see this as ridiculous.
What's really frustrating, and I haven't even gotten to that. I could do probably an entire 3-hour show on this. Is there's a list of all of these things that are exempted. PCS moves are exempt. Separation moves are exempt. TDYs are allowed only if only allowed up until the time that the appropriations end, which is midnight this evening. If you're on TDY for a presentation or a symposium, or there's a list of items here. They say that you're supposed to return to your duty station as of midnight this evening in an orderly fashion, is what they used. Let me see.
Oh. So the guys that are out doing like jobs on TDY, they're going to get their pay stopped, and then they're going to have to find a way to come back to their duty station.
That is correct. Now, if
Okay.
they're TDY, a lot of TDYs, and there's exceptions to that. TDYs in support of the global war on terror, wars, actions against the Islamic State and the rise of terrorism and so on and so forth. Those are all, they are going to stay. Everyone downrange is going to stay downrange. They're not going to start bringing troops back just because the appropriations bill has stalled or failed.
But those guys downrange aren't going to get paid.
From reading that first paragraph, I'm guessing that they are charged, they are ordered to perform their duties.
So explain this to me. Okay, like average Joe, he's got his wife back home and everything, and you just cut his pay. You're like, we're not going to pay you. How does that affect the morale on the front line?
It's got to be terrible, and it's got to be pissing a lot of people off. But I think that a lot of it's going to piss a lot of people off. But by God, the missions are still going to be done. They're going to be accomplished. Everybody is going to. I think. I hope that everyone is gonna everything is gonna continue. Everything is gonna continue. I mean, folks get. Do they still do the was it biweekly or monthly pay still? Pay.
It's with the military, it's biweekly unless you opt in for the once a month.
Okay. They say it. Everyone's going to get paid at the end of this month, but if this thing drags on, there may be, and they use these words very carefully in these articles, may be delayed. So and a special authorization has to be. It's got to be a separate item to back pay these folks. I don't think that that's going to be a problem as far as the military goes. I don't know how that's going to work with civilians. Civilian contractors, I mean, they are affected in this, but if they're contracting on a program that's already fully funded, it's just another day. They're working on a contract that's already fully funded, but there's caveats in all of this. That half of these pages are well, except for these guys. A lot of these caveats are for if your contract comes up, let's say Sunday, your last day of work is going to be Saturday. There's no authorization to increase funding. There's no authorization to extend. Let's say I'm a Brown and Root, and you work for me, and your contract is up on Saturday night at midnight. I can't keep you past Saturday night at midnight because I cannot extend your contract because of this appropriations debacle. There's so much information in here, and it's a well-written document, and I think it was intended to be as concise as possible, and they did a good job. But there's so much there's just so much other, anything that has to do with medical and dental care is still going to happen. That's not going to be cut. Safety of human life and the protection of property. There's not going to be, the MPs are not going to stop patrolling. Acquisition and logistics support is still going to happen. Education and training is still going to happen. Legal activities are still going to happen. Audit and investigation community is still going to happen. MWR, I covered that. Activities funded entirely through non-appropriated funds. That's the word that I was searching for earlier. Morale, welfare, and recreation, and non-appropriated fund activities necessary to support accepted activities. For example, the operation of mess halls, physical training, child care facilities required for readiness are they're accepted. They're in the accept. These things are still going to go on.
Oh, so the gyms ain't going to close then?
The gyms aren't going to close, no. But they're going to be manned by GIs. They're not going to be manned by. You're not going to have a civilian guy handing you a towel.
So I feel bad for all them guys who are just stuck on these ridiculous duties out of the blue.
I did. It wasn't extra duty. It was just an additional duty at the gym for a while. It was like 30 days. 30 days work at the gym.
Yeah. I mean, it's like head count at the defect, kind of, I guess.
Right. Yeah, we had a head count roster. I mean, you just might. Life is going to go on as normal, but from that first freaking paragraph is you're not going to get paid. I'm not saying, take up arms and rebel and all this other stuff, but this is I almost feel like, no, I do feel like the military, because it hasn't been claused out of this, and I believe, and I'm not for sure, the budget shut down in 2013. The military still got paid. Was that true?
I honestly don't remember that. To tell you the truth, I wasn't affected by it, so I mean, I don't remember.
But I do feel like the military is kind of being used as a bargaining chip here, to put pressure on the Democrats to cave in. That you better agree to this. The military's not getting paid. So I'm not sure who to be upset at. I think I'm equally upset at both sides, because truthfully, I think DACA shouldn't be a part of the budget. That should be a separate item, because it's so contentious, and it's so. It's just a very
for them.
Go ahead.
You're gonna get me triggered. For them to freeze the government over DACA period is ridiculous. That just blows my mind at that point. Because you're putting non-citizens before actual citizens. People's livelihood is now getting put on. That's ridiculous.
And I saw a comment. I couldn't tell you who it was from. It was just my little rapid fire reading through things today was and this is the Democrats versus Republicans. So it was a quote of somebody saying the Democrats are willing to oh my gosh, I can't remember the exact words, but in a nutshell, it was they're willing to piss off the people that protect this country to give something to people that shouldn't even be in this country.
Exactly.
And I completely understand that. I think it's the fault of both sides. I mean, I'd like to see, since DACA is in it, I would like to see the Republican solution work, which is where the what's the crux of DACA? It's basically the pathway to citizenship.
Yeah, for all the chain migration, pretty much. It was like the kids that were brought over here.
Birthright citizenship. And I see there's what's the news is, and then there's it's things that are reported that are very emotional. They throw emotion in it to try to trigger you to flip to one side of it, rather than give you the facts and and allow you to make up your own mind. They
play the heartstrings.
They soak the story down with emotion, and that goes on both sides. It happens on both sides. They come to this country for a better life, but dude, there's a legal way to do that, and it can happen. What's that picture? It was that 16-year-old girl, 18-year-old girl that went through her immigration stuff, and she became a citizen. I mean, she's standing there in a dress and holding flowers and stuff.
Yeah,
it happens. It happens every freaking month. They have swearing-in ceremonies. My boss's sister's husband is from Costa Rica, and he came to this country, went through all the steps and jumped through all the hoops that he was supposed to, and my boss took a few weeks ago. He took a Friday off, and they had a swearing-in ceremony in Dallas. It happens. It can happen. It's not impossible.
That's what I always say about this whole like amnesty and stuff like that. That's a big slap in the face for all the people who had to go through the process.
Right, and who did go through the process, and didn't hide and do But you know, it's almost like, you know, if you come over here illegally, you just, you know, stay under the radar and do your thing, and you pretty much enjoy a great life just like an American could or would. I don't have any direct experience with you know, illegal immigration. My grandparents immigrated to this country.
Yeah, I think most of our great grandparents or grandparents at some point did immigrate over here. But they went through Ellis Island. They signed the documents. They got their papers. They did everything they were supposed to.
And, you know, back in the day, they used to, like, in order to be in this country, you need to be able to provide a service to the country. You know, you need to be. You can't be a burden to the country. They had to pass medical exams. You can't bring any disease.
During the height of the Civil War, if you came over here through Ellis Island, you got drafted almost instantly.
Almost instantly, right? What was that movie with
Gangs of New York?
Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
That was a tough time to that was a tough time to be here.
Yeah, that's the one part of American history that I would actually have preferred to stay out of.
Yeah, that was quite a trying time for everybody that you know, got off the boat. But I don't know, you know, with this budget thing, I think it's just putting a lot of stress on people, because you're gonna have you know, private so and so who's got a wife and a kid, or maybe two kids. You know, what are you going to do without a paycheck? You know, if they're not in post housing and they're living in an apartment off base, I don't know what the rules are now. But,
I was talking about that earlier. It was like, I mean, on base, that's easy. You know, the government can front the bill for that. But
correct.
Off post, you know, like a leaser or a landlord is only going to tolerate that for so long before, hey, I can't afford this anymore.
Yeah, because I mean, they're leasing those properties. They're providing a service, and you know, you're not in business to give shit away. You can't do that. It's bad business. I mean, your heart can be as big as hell, but you know, everyone has bills to pay.
I want to bust Congress's balls a little bit. It just pisses me off that, you know, like they get, I mean, I don't know about this provision this time around, but like you said the last time, they got paid. I mean, these guys are sitting on a net worth of like millions of dollars. It doesn't affect them at all. Like, they could go years without getting paid and it wouldn't affect them.
Right. There's an article from the Wall Street Journal about this, which really kind of frosted my ass. Because it's just, this is a government shutdown, but there's so much that's still going to operate. Social Security payments will be deposited, as 53,000 workers for the Social Security Agency will stay on the job. The planned Women's March at the National Mall will be able to go ahead at the National Park. The National Park Services says, because it has a special provision for First Amendment activities, and First Amendment activities require security. Meat, poultry, and egg inspections will continue because they are considered by the U.S. Department of Agriculture to be essential to safeguarding human life. Let's remember that. They are essential to safeguarding human life. Special Counsel Robert Mueller investigated potential Russian, who is investigating potential Russian interference in the 2016 election. He gets to stay on the job along with his staff.
Because that's essential.
Because that's essential. As will 95,000 Justice Department employees, including or who are continuing law enforcement activities, because the agency says the law enforcement capacity of the United States government should not be impaired or perceived to be impaired.
But they'll let the soldiers in Afghanistan go without a paycheck.
Go without a paycheck. This bullshit is taking precedence over our military, period. But just
it just blows my mind. You're gonna piss off the people who are there protecting you. Like, literally, like they're like the soldiers are like first line defense for shit happening here, really.
but to use those words to still allow funding for the Department of Agriculture for poultry and egg inspections, because it's essential to the safeguarding human life. What does a soldier do? What does a Marine do? What does a Coast Guardsman do? What does a Navy seaman do? Well, you don't have to answer that. But I use that same argument. I mean, here's the things that are still being funded, as opposed to paying our military.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up going out to, the chicken coop and grabbing an egg and bringing it inside the house. I didn't have to have an FDA inspector inspect it before I grabbed it.
The national parks. The national parks are going to stay open, but they're not going to collect the trash.
Oh, that's gonna be horrible.
And there's
no.
Go ahead, Spanky. I thought I heard you.
No, just because you brought up the one in 2013, and I do remember that, and I don't remember exactly what they passed to pay us, but they did pay us. But one of the things they didn't do, and I remember this very specifically because it really, really angered me, and I can't remember how many soldiers were affected by it, but we did have a war going on then. What wasn't funded was death gratuities during that shutdown time.
And that's another thing that's not funded. SGLI
right.
is a different purse, but
right.
anybody who any soldiers who are lost that are coming back to Dover, the family members will not be provided airline tickets to go and
see, that's bullshit.
Accept their
right.
Their fallen family.
Yeah, I think I posted an article about that, like how it would affect the economy, and I think they actually mentioned that like soldiers and their death benefits are they're not going to receive that.
Right, and I believe the
now.
SGLI is different, but like the actual death gratuity that their families get, usually within the first, it's within the first day to 3 days, they, I remember there was quite a few soldiers that got killed in Afghanistan during that shutdown,
mm-hmm.
and that was a huge outrage because their families were not getting the death gratuity, and those are the expenses that they need like right away. That's before the SGLI kicks in because
right.
that takes a little bit of time to process.
Did that ever catch up, or did it just stop?
That they got it, I can't obviously say that for sure, but I do know that that money was not getting paid out like it should have been, right away.
It wasn't and I'm going to use these words, and I don't want to upset anybody. It wasn't the end of the world. It was a 16-day shutdown in 2013.
Right.
It was only 16 days. Within those 16 days, God, where's the numbers? 6.6 million work days from furloughed employees were lost, and work that cost $2 billion was not $2 billion with a B dollars was not performed. Now, that work was eventually performed, and that money was eventually spent. It was just not spent in those 16 days.
Here's my big question, though.
Go ahead.
We got the tax returns coming up. How does that affect that? Like, say if this goes on till the beginning of February, right?
Mm-hmm.
How would that affect everyone's tax refunds?
In this article, it says that they may be delayed. There's no factual statement saying they will be delayed. There's nothing saying one way or another. They just use the word may.
Because I know that would piss a shit ton of people off because a lot of people rely on it this time of year.
Well, right. I mean, you got to put new rims on your car, right?
Yeah, this is the time of year where everyone gets toad rich, is what I say.
Oh, right. I mean, really stupid. I mean, people that have no concept of the value of money are the ones that are out there buying the stuff and things. I'm like, fuck, I can pay that bill. I can pay that bill, and
invest in the Bitcoin. You'll be a millionaire.
I don't know about Bitcoin, dude.
Oh, I'm big on the cryptocurrency thing. I'm a firm believer in it, but the Bitcoin might not be your best option. There's other options, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
Head Start appropriations will suffer. They provide early childhood education. The early childhood education for low-income families will be temporarily closed. A similar situation now awaits enrollees in the Children's Health Insurance Program, the CHIP program.
So, what, health care for children is going to be affected by this?
No, it's not health care for children. If I'm paying my insurance premiums, so yeah, my kids are covered. But any of the low income that qualify for CHIP or the Head Start programs, they'll see either a reduction or like a stopping of funding. After the shutdown in 2013, many federal workers who now know the drill will report to work for 4 hours on their first working day of a shutdown to learn whether they've been furloughed or not. They need to know whether they need to put out-of-office notices, secure property, and tie up loose ends for an indefinite period. And unlike past shutdowns, federal workers can now readily access detailed guides from the Office of Personnel Management, explaining that in some states they can file for unemployment compensation while going without their paychecks, but they will have to pay it back if they are awarded back pay. Mulvaney did not say whether he supported the back pay for federal workers or not. Now, when they say federal workers, they did not. They were not specific when they said military. To pay the military is going to take. To continue to pay the military is going to have to take a separate effort. They don't have to approve this, but they can bring a motion to continue to pay the military, which I think is what's going to happen if the appropriations bill falls on its face and they're still at an impasse. They can say, okay, we're going to talk about this on Monday, but before we close for business, we need to someone will raise a motion to agree to pay the military, and I think that would pass. If it's allowed, it all depends on on the mood of the chairman at the time.
Yeah. It just blows my mind that it comes down to this.
And you're using the military, and I really believe that that's what's happening is they're leaving that military pay our military in there to add pressure to the Democrats. I think the Republicans are doing that. That's my opinion, as you heard in the disclaimer.
I don't know. just imagine if like HUD got defunded when the government was shut down. There would be riots and shit.
Yeah, or
it's just my 2 cents.
Or
food stamps, yeah,
or food stamps, or free bus rides, or anything like that. It's just a service when it's automatically cut off. I'm not saying that being paid for the work that you do is a service. It's Congress's freaking job to set a budget, and they failed year after year after year after year to get this done. This isn't the first year. This isn't the first.
But it always boils down to a group of them don't agree with one thing, and the other group doesn't agree with one thing, and they hold things hostage. And I just don't agree with that.
And I don't even know I don't know if I 100% believe that it's about the DACA thing. I think that this is Trump's budget, and I think that there's so much opposition to President Trump just because it's President Trump and it's not President Clinton. It's that petty. I think it's that petty. They're being roadblocks just for the sake of being roadblocks to not give President Trump what, he lays out a budget. People work really hard at writing this budget. This is a memo about the budget, and it's 14 pages long. The budget's got to be enough paper to fill this room.
Yeah.
What was it? What did I say? 53,000 or 93,000 lawyers or people who work in the Justice Department are still. Monday will be the same as today.
Oh yeah, because you need them lawyers.
But on a if there's a silver lining for this, if you're receiving a disability check from the VA, that's not going to stop. The VA offices are going to be open. GI Bill stuff is not going to stop. All these things are funded from other sources. Oh, what else? There was another one. Help me out, Spanky. I know you know.
Social Security is still funded.
Social Security is still funded. Oh, that's where the 53,000 employees in the Social Security Administration are going to be working.
Be honest, I just looked up to see if I was still getting paid, my retirement check, and
retirement
my
checks they will not stop.
Yes, so those two, I know, I'm still going to get paid my Army retirement. That much I know.
Retirement checks and VA benefits, GI Bill benefits are still going to be provided.
Oh, of course, you're going to keep the veterans happy because, we can actually march and do things where the soldiers can't.
Well, they can, just not in uniform.
No, but it's funny you said something about the parks being open, because I do also remember during the last shutdown, because I was in the middle of a PCS, and I was visiting home, and Mount Rushmore is up there, right? And I specifically remember it being shut down to the point where they put cones on the side of the road, no, you can't even stop here and look at it. And I just was thoroughly amused by that. No, you can't even
that was ridiculous.
Stop on the you can't stop on the side of the road and look at Mount Rushmore.
Or the National Mall was closed in DC.
Oh, I remember that. People were throwing gates around screw this. We paid for this. We can come up in here. There's people mowing the grass for free. It was nuts.
I get if you have to close down the part they have to maintain, and you can't go on the trails and stuff that are by it, but no, you can't even stop on the side of the road and look at Mount Rushmore now, because Mount Rushmore's closed.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
The mountain's not here. Don't look. It's not.
I can't. Close your eyes when you drive by.
We're gonna
you can't
put
look at it. It's
we're
closed.
gonna put a tarp over the mountain so you can't you can't look at it.
Yeah, that pissed a lot of World War II vets off, because they were trying to go see the World War II monument in DC. And
didn't honor flights stop at that time?
I can't remember.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago. I should remember, but I don't.
Yeah, that whole throwing gates up was just that was all a political game trying to piss people off. That's all it was. I honestly think that.
Oof.
I mean, the whole thing irritates me. We vote for these people in, we pay these people, and they can't do their job.
Whether it doesn't matter what's said right now or done right now. I mean, it does matter what's done right now, but these folks that are sucking on the government teeth, not the government, the veterans, not the GIs, not any of the military, but the folks that just that accept a federal job. I don't know. They might feel a little bit of a pinch, but it'll be okay. These Joes that are making not a whole lot of money.
Because I almost guarantee you a majority of our troops don't have savings plans. They don't. They live paycheck to paycheck. Because I witnessed this.
I lived that. I lived that. I didn't have any bills. So whatever was in my pocket was saving money was not on my mind. So if I got $400 a month, that's I didn't necessarily spend $400 a month, but I knew what my limit was. No bills, man. Unless I got cable in the room or a telephone.
$400 a month. Wow, that shows your age.
That's what the hell was my base pay? $482 when I came in a month. Something around there. I don't know for sure.
I came in. I think it was when I came in. It was like $900 a month as a private.
You balling, dude.
Oh hey, yeah. Now they get like $2,000 a month or something. That's insane.
I really don't know. I really have no clue. What did you make when you were private, Miss Spanky?
Trying to remember, but it wasn't much. I think I remember, every 2 weeks taking home about $300.
Okay.
I'm like, So it wasn't that much more, and I came in as, an E1. So I think I brought home about $300 every 2 weeks.
That's not bad for, like you got your housing taken care of and you go to the defect every night. That's good.
Were you
Right,
were you a single soldier or were you married or what?
Yes. No, I came in as a single soldier. My first duty station was Korean. I think mine was a little bit more because I did get paid separate rats because I was a shift worker back then. So, yeah, I think that was why mine was a little bit more.
Ship as in boat or shit as in poop?
No, shift.
Oh, shift. Oh.
Shift. Yeah, I was a shift worker. Like we switched shifts. That's a tongue tire. Every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd work days for 2 weeks, swings for 2 weeks, and nights for 2 weeks.
What the hell?
Well,
I don't remember what I did. I know I watched some servers, make sure they didn't blow up at night. I remember that much.
Yeah. Hey, your old 25 days, huh?
Oh, shoot. I forgot. I don't like to admit that. Because I know nothing.
I know nothing.
You know nothing.
Yeah, I really don't know anything about those signal MOSs that I used to have.
It's weird, man. I was an avionics guy. I work on aircraft electronics, and I went to school at Fort Gordon. Right behind us were the cable dogs. And the only reason I know that they were cable dogs is that's what their cadence was every freaking morning.
Like cable dogs.
Yeah. What are they, 31s?
They're 25s now.
Are they 25s?
Yeah, I was one of the few 25 Bravos to actually get to go to basic installers course. It's usually like a Lima course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, I was sitting in there and they're like, "You're a 25 Bravo? Why the hell are you in here?" I was like, "I don't know. Nah, they sent me here."
They told me this is where I need to be.
Pretty much. I guess it's a very prestige school for, the commo. I didn't know. I was just in there and I learned how to wire shit, like whatever.
Installers. When I was in Korea, I had a lot of respect for the ridge runners, the guys that would run cable up on top of on the ridges in Korea. I mean,
That's a fun job.
I mean, you're climbing that freaking mountain and you're stringing cable. That's a job right there. Hey, so what do you say?
It's about that time, ain't it?
Almost. It's 5 minutes. I feel like I'm cheating, but I'm. Let's BS for 5 minutes. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll take a break right at the top of the hour. We'll get our guests from Guardians of the Green Beret and Dom and Guardian 6.
Yes, definitely. Y'all stay around and check that out.
So what do you think it would take? I mean, do you ever? I mean, seeing stolen valor is one thing, but I've never experienced. I've never seen anybody pretend to be a Green Beret that either kind of knew what they were talking about, but dude, their shit was all ate up, and they really were. It's always been, dude, you look like Muammar fucking Gaddafi with all those medals and shit. What the hell?
No, let's see. I just got back from my second deployment, I think, and I was sitting in a bar in Houston, and I was, just minding my business, and my mom's like my hype man, like, like just keep it calm, I don't want my business out there. That's the way I always been. Well, this dude comes up. I was in the Navy SEALs. I started talking to him, and I was like, dude, you're full of bullshit, and you'd be surprised we're out there that say shit like this. Like you're gonna claim you're a special force, part of an elite special force group, and you don't even know like basic shit. It's just it's a whole set of balls, cojones.
Well, I think Mike Golf said that last night. Okay.
Yeah, because you come across that one Green Beret, right? That was a Green Beret, went through the selection course and everything, and made it. And then there's this one jackass up in a bar, just like, oh, you're gonna get knocked the fuck out, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting conversation. I've got a couple of questions I wrote down. These guys do a lot of really good things.
I like to shoot from the hip and listen to these people, and hopefully, I got some good questions for them.
Guess what?
What?
WTF Nation Radio, you're on the air.
Yeah, hey, is this Friday Night Freedom?
It sure the hell is. Who am I speaking with?
This is Tim Howe.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
We are on the air. We're getting ready to take a break, though.
Okay. So I just hang out?
Just hang on out, and we'll be with you in just a couple of minutes.
That's fine. We'll be here.
All right, boss. Well, I guess that's a cue to take a break, and I think that's what we're going to do. Oh. All right, guys, hang tight. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
WTF Nation Radio.
voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Fighting soldiers from the sky, fearless men who jump and
The Guardians of the Green Beret. Who are they? They're former and current Green Berets who find and investigate those who falsely claim to be a Green Beret. They'll never out anyone unless they're 100% certain via the Freedom of Information Act and Fort Bragg. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce to you Dom and Guardian 6 from Guardians of the Green Beret. How are you guys doing, gentlemen?
Real good. Glad to be here.
Real good, real good. Shout out to our 5,300 members of SF Brothers and, of course, all the other Green Berets listening tonight.
Absolutely, man. Wow. You guys have quite a task on your hands, man.
Yep, it's a never-ending job, it seems.
So tell me a little bit about the Guardians of the Green Beret. I know you guys, you fought long and hard just to become a tabbed member of the Green Berets, and then you go through so much together, and you build your brotherhood. It's got to be very, it's like a stab in the heart to find some, Joe down the road who didn't, go through what you've been through, claim to be, who you are.
Hey, very, very, very true cause. And Guardian 6, I just want to say, as U.S. Army Special Forces, also known as the Green Berets, as you've heard, one of our many missions was to quietly go into hostile territory and locate and expose the bad guys. Mm-hmm. One of the many tactics of the enemy is to portray themselves as something they are not through lies and deceit, and this leads to corruption. One of the missions, or not one of the missions, our mission at the Guardians of the Green Beret is not so different. We quietly investigate these individuals that are posing as something they are not. Many of them have used their lies to gain notoriety, to run for public office, to receive monies through organizations. They personally set up posing as Green Berets or even receiving compensation from the government.
It's that deep?
Oh, yeah.
You said
it gets that deep.
Public office. Really?
Absolutely.
We've had
a
case in Mississippi a few years ago, and the gentleman was running for Congress. His name was Ron Dickey, and of course he claimed to be a combat Green Beret. It was one of the first cases I worked. It was probably maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and turned out that this guy was a cook. He had been assigned to 3rd Special Forces Group as a cook, but he was not assigned there during the Gulf War, which he claimed. He had actually been assigned to a MP battalion in Korea during the Gulf War. So we got him out, and we're able to work with the state Democratic leadership, and they asked him to pull out of the race.
And I hope he did so quietly, just for his sake.
Well, at first, of course, whenever we get into these things, before we contact these guys, pretty much we've already gotten the records. We've vetted them, as Dom had said. We've got a group, an SF Brothers of 5,300 or so guys, and it goes the gamut from guys who served in the earliest days in Vietnam as Green Berets, all the way through guys who are still on active duty. We have guys in reserves. It's the whole range of Green Beret units represented. And we're such a small group. If, in fact, you served in Special Forces, pretty good chance somebody in that 5,300 folks they're going to know you or know of you.
There's very few degrees of separation. You're going to know somebody, at least someone who knows someone.
Yeah.
Very, very few. And I just want to, Dom here, and I just want to say I've only been on this, we'll call it a task force for about 6 months, but of course Guardian 6 has been on here for a long time. But I have to back up what he said. We start by tapping into 5,300 and understand that number, 5,300 real Green Berets through various means. We have just 5,300 members just in our Facebook group alone. These 5,300 members have served as Green Berets as far back as Guardian 6 has said, back to 1950. To those that are still currently on active duty, we never expose an individual on a single person's word. After it's determined among these members that something smells fishy, we use other organizations as well as official channels to verify that the individual is not a Green Beret. We verify. Understand that.
And you
before
have to
exposing them
corroborate,
publicly.
and you got to corroborate the information too.
Absolutely. We never expose him. If we are not 100% sure he's not legit, we've lost credibility. We never expose an individual unless we're 100% sure that he's not legit. We would rather give 10 frauds a pass than accuse one legit Green Beret. Do you understand?
Oh yeah.
It's very important.
Well, I wish modern journalism was like that.
Yeah, and I would say, with our SF brothers, 5,300, we have a really strong vetting process. The only way you're allowed in that group is if you have served in a regimental unit with another group member, somebody who knows you served in a Special Forces group or that type of assignment and served with you. That's the only way you're vetted in. So I'd say that we have one of the strongest vetting processes.
And you have to, and it's not really hard because you guys are have a very, very, very strong bond with each other, and it's not going to take a lot to have go. Yeah, I know Sergeant Bob, whatever. Yeah, we served here, and here, and that information is corroborated by another, staff sergeant, Carl, that says, hey, hell yeah, I was with that guy, and here's some pictures, fuck.
And it's really amazing to see the lengths that some of these guys will go. And we normally find them because these guys, they all seem to love the limelight. And a lot of times we get these names because their name's in the paper.
Oh.
Their example, we had a guy out in Reno, Nevada. He was given the Elks Man of the Year award. And when they started talking about his story as a Green Beret, things like he was in a wheelchair at the time, and he was supposedly the only Green Beret officer to serve as a paraplegic in a wheelchair. He was supposedly asked by name by Norman Schwarzkopf to come back on active duty for Desert Storm, and Norman even sent a car to pick him up.
Oh, geez.
But we found this guy, and we were able to track him across. He started in California, went to Florida. He claimed to be a retired full colonel 06 SF guy. He also claimed to have been a nurse. He claimed to hold degrees from, he had 2 master's degrees from Columbia and a doctorate. Well, we were able to also, there's the ways to verify that. So we actually were not only able to verify that the guy served 6 months in the military and was basically out as a PFC, or it may have even been a private, and had never been a nurse, never had any degrees. But this guy, when we started out, we started hearing from ex-wives, everybody else, and it was huge.
It's like once you find a little morsel, it's like, oh, let's dig deeper and deeper and deeper, and it just unfolds all by itself.
And understand, cause it is like it's like blood in the water for sharks. It really is. And you seemed surprised when we said, you kind of said, wow, they go into these links, to do this, and it's amazing. Let's call it what it really is. Let's actually call out what some of these individuals have. For example, in the case of Joe Alvarado, he scammed approximately $100,000 while posing as a Green Beret. Now he's actually doing time in jail for what he did.
Good.
Let's talk Reggie Wright out in New York City. He was actually positioning himself to receive massive amounts of money, but we stopped him before he could. Ron Stone claimed Special Forces Green Beret to sell his books. We exposed
the
him,
author.
and he still will not come clean.
I was reading about that. He has so many excuses, and you guys just don't pounce on somebody. If you go to guardiansofthegreenberet.com, you can see when you pull up the website, it's going to say heroes and zeros. You can go to the heroes and you can see the legit folks, and you can go to the zeros, and oh my gosh, there's reading there just to read the litany of their stories and screen captures of text messages and communications between these folks trying to legitimize their existence as a Green Beret and then backpedal and then kind of crawl into a corner and then you never hear from them again.
Yeah, and when we talk about vetting, and I'm not going to bust on these other veterans organizations, but we have had numerous guys that we found that were members of the VFW, members of the American Legion. Busted one guy up in Ohio. This guy was in the Rakasans Association. It's the 187th Infantry. At the time, he was national secretary. And when we found out, and the way this thing happened was he actually attended the funeral of a Medal of Honor winner here in Fayetteville. He attended the funeral, and one of the newspaper photographers snapped a picture of him, and he sent him to us. So we started checking this guy out, and he was, of course, full dress blues. I mean, had every ribbon, every halo, scuba, everything. So when we found out, we got his records, and I think on our site you can even hear. A lot of times, whenever when we call and confront, we'll tape it, and we actually play those on our website.
Wow.
But this guy, when we got everything, he had actually claimed that he had been in Korea and had joined the Army as a 14-year-old. By the time we got
what?
And this is another thing that's really sad. The guy did serve 20 years. He had a career that should have been proud of.
Yeah.
It was never special.
Yeah.
And the thing was, when we finally talked to the Rakasans, when I talked to the president of the Rakasans, it was a week before their national convention. And this guy, his name was, and this is no joke, his name is Sonny Cool. Cool.
Sonny Cool.
Yeah. The guy was going to be announced the next week to be the national president of the association running unopposed.
Wow. Oh, my gosh.
Okay. This is how deep guys get.
So what go ahead.
It brings up a question of why should you care about this, or the people listening, why should you care about this, or why do you care about this? And you can hear we're just touching on just the surface of the fraud that's going on here, cause this fraud affects everyone in some way. One example is, think of the government budget and taxes with respect to veterans programs. Imagine your hard-earned money that should go to programs that help out our community, our military community. It should be going to the military community that needs the help, not to these scammers. Real veterans that are hurting from, say, PSTD or TBI, they're not getting the care they need because these scammers have actually muddied the process, making it harder for real veterans to get the care they need.
Absolutely.
So, it goes much deeper than just outing these posers or these turds in a punch bowl.
Absolutely. These guys, we've had them where they've started GoFundMes, and we have in the past turned our information over to pertinent authorities. I had a case that I turned a guy over in the state of Washington to their Department of Justice, State Department of Justice, and they did the investigation for this guy, falsely claimed to be a Green Beret, and he had started a nonprofit and was doing a GoFundMe. and they took the ball and ran with that. So when we find that they're doing stuff like that, we try to work with other law enforcement folks or whatever to get these guys off the streets so they're not doing this. And
so what tips you guys? What tips you guys off? Does someone say, "Hey, man, this guy really seems fishy. Can you guys check him out?" Is there a formal request, or do you guys just kind of get a sense that this guy, whoever he's blabbing, he's blabbing about himself online?
Yeah, well, a lot of times we'll get, people will just send us and say, "Hey, this guy's saying this. Can you check him out?" Or other SF guys. We see things in the paper. The guy that's the one out in Washington, somebody saw the GoFundMe page. This guy was claiming all this combat experience and stuff, and it just didn't jive with reality. So like I said, and like Dom said, the first thing we do is we put him out there with our 5,300 guys, and if nobody's ever heard of the guy, then that really piques our interest.
I mean, one of the guys even recently, the beard oil fellow.
Yeah.
I mean, he started a company, and he based his credibility upon the fact that he was SF.
Yeah, but what was really sad about that? It was two guys. The one guy that claimed, and the other guy never made any claims, but he was a veteran too, and he really got screwed in that deal.
Was that the apology that I read?
No, well, the apology is from the guy that was that claimed to be the Green Beret. He not only apologized, he tried to basically bribe us not to out him by stating that he would, he would donate X number of dollars to the Green Beret Foundation.
And I saw that it was a lot of dollars too.
Yeah, and we just say, hey man, we don't work that way.
Yeah, right. Good on you.
And it's sad. Had another guy here in North Carolina. This guy was a state recruiter for the VFW. This guy did over 1,100 funerals as a VFW color guard, claiming to be a Green Beret, never served a day in the military.
Holy shit.
Okay. We had pictures of this guy kneeling in front of a veteran's wife, presenting the flag. And if that's not enough to make you understand why we do what we do, that right there, I mean, people who really have done something for this country and have somebody like that, it just boggles the mind. So
what's been the reception in large for you guys' effort? I can't see anybody saying, "Man, you guys are just messing with the wrong people. You're ruining people's lives." But I completely understand your mission and the enthusiasm that you complete that mission with.
Yeah, I think we've had pretty much overall good reports. And I would say the other thing is, a lot of times, whenever there's a published story in the media about somebody we know is false, we'll go back to that person who wrote the article or to that newspaper or whatever and let them know. And by and large, they want to then follow up and correct it and, get the truth out.
Hey, Cause, I just want to jump in here.
Sure.
Look, I want to put it out there to not just the Green Berets that are listening and the people, but also I'm sure there's some posers out there listening. Look, we can't be bought. We can't be bribed. All right. If we know you're a poser, we're coming for you. You can't hide. All right. That's just the plain and simple. The question is your question to us is how do you help? How do you get these people to us? If you see something suspicious, because if something doesn't sound right, gather as much information as you can and report it to us. We need pictures. We need screenshots. We need supporting information if you have. You just have to go to the website, Guardians of the Green Beret, and just send us an email. Let us know, because we'll take it from there. All right? There isn't any amount of money that can replace one hero that gave the ultimate price. Okay, they're just not. All right, and they can try and whatever, but you know what? They're They're stealing valor from real Green Berets, and they're stealing valor from men that even tried to become Green Berets and still hold their head up high, that possibly didn't make it, but are still proud that they tried. You understand where I'm going with this?
Absolutely,
Cause?
Absolutely. And you even have some.
We're serious. This is a call to action. I mean, this is it's gone. You know, we have. If you look at our website, we showcase every Special Forces Green Beret that's been awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
There may be, I think I'm not sure what the number we're up to, but it could be 20, 24, 26. But then again, if you look at the zeros, we don't have enough time in the day to put the zeros in there. We really don't.
There's a lot.
So,
there's
you
a
know,
lot.
and we're not even done yet.
and also you also have on your list of zeros guys that have gone through, you know, the SFAS and gone to the Q course and then failed out, but then resurface as I'm an SF guy.
Yeah, I mean just the fact that they, you know, be proud, like Guardian 6 said. You know, some of these guys have done 20 years with respectable careers. I mean, we've busted out guys that were in. Let's take a Vietnam vet that was an artillery, artillery service member. He had the man had a Bronze Star with a V device in there, and he still had to pose as a Green Beret. Why? Why couldn't he just be on the merits of what he did? We respect him as Green Berets. We respect this man for what he did. I mean, he was in the thick of it, but he still had to come out there and pose. I mean, why? You know, it's baffling to us.
I mean, really, to break it down, if you raised your right hand and you took that oath and you served honorably, you've got my respect. I don't give a damn if you were in the motor pool or a cook or whatever your MOS was. I don't care. You're my brother or you're my sister.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And you know what? And I just want to add that, you know, this is another way that the individuals out there listening can help. You know, just say thank you to a veteran. We don't care what they are. I mean, you know, there's a small minority of people that have actually put on the uniform and gone out there and served this country. And, you know, that's just one way of helping, saying, hey, thank you for your service, because most service members and, you know, men and women are they're not looking for notoriety. A simple thank you is all they need.
Right.
You know, and that's why we don't, again, that's why it baffles us.
A thank you really, really does go a long way.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's very seldom will you find a Green Beret who's going to just all of a sudden start telling you all these kind of war hero stories. You know, we're known as the quiet professionals.
Right.
And typically guys don't talk about. Now, when we get together, we might talk about it. But just, you know, to some Joe off the street, guys aren't just going to start making these claims and stuff, you know.
So do you
had a couple guys even say, hey, when I go into a bar and everybody asks me, I tell them, I was a truck driver, you know.
Yeah, because it avoids the questions.
Exactly.
So do you find that, and I can see this because, you know, I see the fails as far as the hey, I was a Green Beret bullshit things, but do you find that some investigations are harder than the others? I've got this whole list of questions. Have you ever targeted someone and it's just like, oh my gosh, no, this guy's legit. He's just
and I'll tell you, that's one of the best things about SF Brothers. That happens all the time, and typically in SF Brothers, within 6 hours to 24 hours, if a guy's legit, we know it. I mean, somebody will come out and say, yeah, this guy's legit. I can't really think of any where we've had long-term investigations and it turned out to be that the guy was legit. Pretty much, once we get the records, you know, and we have a pretty good system of getting the records from Freedom of Information Act, get them pretty quick, and so we typically know pretty quickly whether this is something we need to explore or not.
So is there like a database available to you guys by name or?
Well, what we do is we use the National Personnel Records Center,
Okay.
which is a repository, but we've been able to establish rapport with them, and they understand, what we do, and we're able to get records a lot quicker than, just if someone off the street does a Freedom of Information Act. Understood.
Yeah, again, cause our best vetting is actually, again, 5,300 plus members.
Right.
That, and not say that we don't go on a single person's word, like we said, but when you have 5,300 Green Berets out there that are active on a Facebook page, that's a pretty good vetting process. And then we just back it up with like Guardian 6 said, with other official channels. And I will tell you, I do want to give credit to Guardians of Valor and also the POW network. They help us out a lot with this.
Oh yeah.
If you see by our website, you see a lot of endorsements on there from our website. Again, they have helped us out immensely during our investigation.
We had Guardians of Valor on earlier this week, and they mentioned you guys. And the only thing the only thing that came to mind was, okay, let's say you're just a regular Joe, never spent a day in the military, and you're trying to get all this sympathy and accolades for being a veteran, and you're not a veteran, so someone blows you into stolen valor, and there's an investigation, and it's pretty thorough, and they out you, and you're busted in. You either get prosecuted because that's a crime now. How distressing would it be to pretend to be a Green Beret and to have Guardians of the Green Beret after your ass? I mean, am I going to knock on the door at 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
And
well, we don't go that far. I mean, we don't have black helicopters. We don't have black uniforms.
I really wish you would. I really wish you would.
I know.
I was imagining that the whole time, man. Just to be clear, I mean, we have to be clear about this, because if you go onto our Guardians of the Green Beret Facebook page, just to be a member of that, we have to make sure we're not bullying somebody or threatening, and we would never do that by no means. But when you got 5,300 plus Green Berets on your ass, I would be a little concerned myself. I'm not going to say we're going to knock at your door, but there's not going to be a stone left unturned. I mean, we are, by nature, we are the champions of the underdogs. I mean, if you look at our motto, "De oppresso liber." I mean, we free the oppressed. Okay, and right now, these poses are oppressing us, and that's the worst thing you can do.
Right.
Yeah. And just as a shout out for the guys who are thinking about posing, their Vietnam vets, they should know that there's a really solid history compiled by a gentleman named Steve Sherman, and it's a list of pretty much everybody who served in Vietnam as a Green Beret. They've got a list of, it's a huge history, and that's one of the sources we use when we are looking at guys who are claiming to be a Green Beret from Vietnam. I mean, there's just tons of documentation for those guys.
I mean, the Green Berets are badasses, but they don't do it all themselves. I mean, you have support structures. So
absolutely,
are a lot of these posers that were in support roles for 5th Group, 7th Group, or whatever claim?
Yeah, we have had those guys, like the congressman guy. I mean, he was a cook in 3rd Group, and there was a time, and I know Don probably remembers this too. There was a time when a certain Joe officer decided that we had to be uniform in group. So everybody who was assigned a group wore a Green Beret. And the only difference was if you were qualified, you had the long tab.
Wow.
So we had guys that were out wearing Green Berets, and this cook, Dickie, that's what he used as his defense was, yes, I was issued a Green Beret. And he was. Because at that time, everybody...
That was the uniform.
that was uniform.
Well, let's be clear. Let's be clear, cause the Green Beret is not part of the uniform.
It's
You
not.
understand what I'm saying? It is actually awarded by JFK. It is not an official part of the uniform. Okay, so it's that I would take my Green Beret off, and I would take my 10th Special Forces Group flash off, and I would gladly put a 5th Group flash on, because I mean, I've used my Green Beret, and this is not disrespectful, to wipe the inside of the frost off my car. Okay, I would never, and that's not disrespectful. What I'm saying is that it's not part of the uniform.
Okay.
But we hold this to such a high regard. This is a very highly regarded. The hat is just a hat. All right, the beret is just a beret. You follow what I'm saying?
I absolutely
It's
do.
the fact of what we went through to earn that Green Beret. That's what matters. And then the brothers that you serve with and you've watched die on your side, left and right of you. That's what's important about that's what the Green Beret means. We are the quiet professionals. Okay, the SEALs are not. All right, Air Force Special Operations is not. Marines, MARSOC. And don't get me wrong, I love these guys. They're part of the Special Operations community. But there is only one true unit out there called the Army Special Forces, or the Green Berets. That's us, the Army.
Yeah, and that's the thing that really a lot of folks don't understand when they hear Special Forces, they think soft.
Well, SOF is a big umbrella for everybody.
Exactly. But the only Special Forces are Army Special Forces, the Green Berets.
I'm flabbergasted, and I'm on my heels, man. I'm just, you guys are so, and it's not a surprise. You guys are proud, and you ought to be. You've got a brotherhood that is very, 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 very strong, and it should be. And then to see someone try to not infiltrate that, but to kind of attach themselves to that is upsetting to me.
I want to tell you just this little quick about when you talk about the brotherhood. And I'm not going to say any names or anything, but just in the last week, we had a brother in the upper part of the country. His daughter was being abused by her boyfriend.
Uh-oh.
Miles away.
Oh, wow.
This is where the black helicopters come in. Please tell me that.
Yeah. Drone strikes coming in.
He put it out. There was no violence or anything, but he put it out to the brotherhood, and the brotherhood within a few hours were able to make contact, get her out of the situation, into a place that was safe, until Dad could get there the next day to pick her up and take her back home.
That's got such a huge smile on my face right now. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm grinning ear to ear right now. I love hearing this shit.
Guys probably know each other personally. They don't know each other personally. Because of the brotherhood, that's what these guys will do.
I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we're you know what, we'll fight, and we'll scrap, and we'll scratch, and we'll punch each other out. But you try to come into our family, and it's hard. It's just not going to happen. On a more sad note, and actually it's not really that sad, but the fact is that we've actually had brothers reach out to us that were hurting, and we've actually stopped them from going to the next step. And this is important to understand too, is because these posers that we out are taking resources from not just our brothers, but the military in general, that are suffering from PTSD or traumatic brain injury, okay, and they're not getting the care they need. Again, I talked about that earlier, but I want to say that sometimes they don't have anywhere to turn, and all of a sudden, we're reading about the 22 veterans a day that are committing suicide, and
Correct.
It's horrible.
Yes.
Well, thank God that we have a network within our organization. We don't stop all of them, but we do stop. If we can stop one, that's at least we've accomplished something that day.
And within
and it's important. So
and within the 5,300 in your group, I mean, you guys are tight. Maybe there's more that just aren't in the group. I mean, you guys are a brotherhood. So yeah, I guess the best place, and it's the hardest thing in life is to reach out for help and say, dude, I'm struggling. I've got a substance abuse thing, or I'm really fucking angry, and my wife and I get into it from time to time. It's really hard to ask for help.
It is. It is. And, you know, and that's why, you know, a lot of our brothers, they don't want to talk to anybody but other brothers. And you're absolutely right. And again, if you're listening and you're a qualified Green Beret, again, visit our Facebook page, Special Forces Brother, click on the email link, send us your information. The vetting process takes some time, but be patient. We'll get you in. All right. This is important because, you know, there's a lot of Green Berets out there that really don't even know this page exists. And again, I thank you for bringing us on, because this is putting, you know, some visibility on to, you know, Special Forces Brothers.
Yeah. And in the SF Brothers, you know, we are pretty much, we feel like we can talk about anything, and we have guys of all ranks. I believe the highest ranking guy we have in the SF Brothers is a lieutenant general. So we've got the full gamut of guys who just, when you're in SF Brothers, it's no longer, there's no rank. We're brothers, and we're going to help each other out. That's what we do.
So, Guardian 6, tell me a story about selection. You remember selection?
Well, actually, I'm in the pre-selection days.
Oh, wow.
When I went through, phase 1 was really what we would consider the selection.
Did you start out as an infantry soldier and say, I want to be Special Forces, or how did that happen?
You know, I'm going to tell you, it sounds kind of crazy, but I remember, I think it was 1964 or 65, sitting at home. I was probably 10, 11 years old, and a guy came on Ed Sullivan's show, and he sang a song, and my dad and both my uncles were military. Mm-hmm. This guy that came on was named Barry Sadler.
Oh.
And he sang the Ballad of the Green Beret.
Absolutely, yeah. I played that as your intro.
And no joke, when I heard that, that's what I knew I wanted to be.
So from day one, you're like, yeah, that's me.
Yeah, and now it took me a while to get there because I was an enlisted guy, and I didn't go through the SF course as an enlisted guy. Once I got commissioned, I went through as a captain, and I tell you, we started out with about 350 guys, I think, in phase 1, and we ended up graduating a little over 100. And a couple of my classmates have really made a pretty good jump. Ken Tovo is now the USASOC commander, lieutenant general, and he actually saved my skin in the SEER course. In the SEER course, they gave you this nasty cold rice junk to eat.
Dude, no one talks about SEER.
And I couldn't eat the stuff. I hadn't eaten in like 7 days.
I eat that stuff at home right now. Come on, man.
Ken Tovo stood by me, and so he loved that stuff. So he ate mine too.
Oh man! And then you're still hungry.
Yeah. So yeah.
Oh, dude.
You know, it's good. A lot of good memories all the way out. And I would say some of the best memories are my team when I was on the teams, and I'm still good friends with all the guys that were on my team. Everybody's retired now, and we still get together, visit, and it's just something you can't trade.
What about you, Dom? Tell me about your selection experience.
You know, it's similar. You know, I was pre-SFAS stuff. Same thing. I was, I think Guardian 6 went through as an officer there. Is that what you said, Guardian 6?
Yeah.
You know, but I went through as a young infantry NCO, and you know, it was funny. I was up in an airborne unit up in Alaska, Charlie 1st to 60th. Right? You got to say that. And I remember the day I painted this big SF patch in paint on my wall in my barracks room, because in those days if you were single, you lived in the barracks. and I painted this big SF patch. I really didn't know what Special Forces was. I just knew that they were the Green Berets, and they were the best. I came in to be a Ranger, and it didn't work out so well because of the military and the Army obviously can't get their records straight half the time.
Okay.
Just being honest. And I remember my first sergeant come in, and he goes, "Why do you want to be one of those Green Beret snake eater guys? You're an airborne, you're a paratrooper." And I said, "Well, it's something I want to do." So again, I went through the same kind of track that Guardian 6 did, and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. It doesn't matter if you went through the old school or the new school. It's never been easy.
Is it different? It's a lot different, I imagine. It's a lot different.
It's not. It's not really different. There's a the Special Forces. The SFAS is kind of like a selection. It's a little bit better in weeding out maybe the physically weak. The issue I have personally with the SFAS was that sometimes you may weed out the physically weak, but you have some really intelligent individuals that probably could do very well on a team. Again, that's not for me to say. I retired a master sergeant, and I didn't get any further than that. But
you fucking.
But but it was funny because I remember. The rest of the phase training is still the same, and it's actually very more involved right now. It goes into language training. A lot of the all of the individuals now go through military free fall training. They all come out at language qualified. It really is a great system, and you don't hear a lot about this unless you really dig deep into the actual selection process and what these Green Berets, these nowadays Green Berets, these current Green Berets go through. We always make jokes of each other. I mean, Guardian 6 and I can laugh at each other. I said, I went through the last hard class. Guardian 6, my class was harder than yours. In the 80s it was harder than the 60s, right? Yeah, right. But it's still the hardest selection process in the world. I mean, I would stack up any Green Beret against any SEAL, any SAS guy, any of the other other countries' special operations or special forces units. We're still going to stand on top. I'm sorry, you might be calling me biased or whatever, but I have to go back to the story. It was kind of funny because it was tough. I went through a very tough selection. We started out with 130 plus guys, and we ended up only graduating 30. So at the end of the day,
I don't think that should change. I mean, if 30% pass, then that's the way that it should be. It should be the best of the best.
Yeah, but whenever we went through, when it was before SFAS, one of the big reasons to switch was actually cost. Because when we went through, everybody was PCS to Fort Bragg, and then you went in the course. If you flunked out, if you didn't make it, then they had to PCS you again. So the way SFAS works is you do your TDY, then if you're selected, then you PCS, and it really does save a ton of money. It's hard to believe, but there were actually guys who were dying. I mean, and I know in my time there were officers who their only desire was to get to Fort Bragg and to get in the 82nd. They would come to the Q course, go in, and basically, I don't want to say on purpose not make it, but didn't make it and then got sent to where they really wanted to be, to the 82nd Airborne.
Oh, man, that's fucked up.
Yeah, so it's changed. And I know Dom remembers one of the highlights of Camp McCall when Phase 1 was every time someone quit, they would play Another One Bites the Dust over the loudspeakers.
It's very true.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite a time.
So from the time that you decided that you wanted to be a Special Forces soldier, has that changed a lot? I'm guessing that's changed a lot because now they have the SFAS and then the Q course. I don't know how current you are on the current standards. If you're an E4, E5 in the Army right now, how would you try out for Special Forces?
You volunteer for SFAS, and you have to meet the requirements. It's a 110 GT score, which is a pretty high GT score. You got to have a, secret clearance. You got to meet certain things to apply for SFAS. And once you're selected, then you go through, and basically you either make it or you don't. And then if you don't make it, because one of my last jobs, it was SFAS was actually in. I worked at SWIC, and I sat on a lot of the boards out there.
Yeah.
And what they would do is the guys who didn't make it, you basically either got non-select with a chance to return, or you're non-select and we never want to see your face again.
Okay.
Is
that like a peer review? You have the standards, and you can meet the standards but not be chosen.
Yeah. Well, no, I think pretty much if you can make the standards, you did. There was a psychological part to it.
Okay.
There is peer reviews, and the cadre they have a big say. But with SFAS, I think that, and Ray will bear me out, just because you make it through SFAS, you make it through the Q course, you make it through all the training, rubber meets the road when you get on the team.
Either the guys trust you, or you either build a rapport with your brothers, or you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very well. It goes beyond that, cause I remember stepping into my first team in Fifth Special Forces Group, and it was very clear to me that you have 1 year. That's 365 days to prove yourself. And if not, you're out on the street.
It seems like a lot of time, but it's probably not.
It isn't, because I got to my first team, and 4 months later I was deployed on a real world mission. It was pretty impressive. That's
kind of quick to me.
Yeah. Hey, guys today are doing it a lot quicker.
Mm.
Yeah.
And the guys.
Yeah.
Today,
these guys today. Again, a shout out to them, cause, because these guys today. I saw a lot of deployments. I saw a lot of, as you read from, the bio, you saw the operations that I was on. But these guys today, they're doing multiple deployments with minimal time at home, and they're doing great things out there. And again,
they got to train up between missions. They got to train up for the next one.
Yep. That's never changed. That has never changed.
Before we end this thing, I want to say one other thing. The families of these Green Berets, those folks are really true American heroes, because these guys go through so much, and they're gone. I mean, in my second life, after I retired from the Army, I was a school principal at the military schools on Fort Bragg. And, I had kids who were 12 years old. Their dads have been in combat over half their lives. So, and also unfortunately had to deal with several parents who were killed of my students, and to see how the other students, the other kids, wrap those kids around. I mean, it really is.
Do you think the kids of the Special Forces families have a special bond as well?
Absolutely. And the wives. I mean,
y'all hang out together. You guys do barbecues and whatever.
Yeah. When you're on a team is, and Dom will, I guarantee you back me, a team is as close, if not closer, than your family. And you bring in all your wives, girlfriends, kids, it really is a family.
Yeah. I'll go one step further, cause literally just 2 weeks ago, I wasn't even on the team with this individual, and we just spent 3 days out in the mountains of Colorado, just because we were in the same in the same company together, in the same group.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's how deep this goes. I mean, could you imagine? You know how big a group is. I mean, we could go over that a piece of time, but the group, and then you get down to the battalion, the company, the team.
Right.
I mean, we were in the same company together, and we still enjoyed our time together, and we still have that special bond. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what group you were in or where you were at. You're going to have that brotherhood. You're going to have that bond, and that's why we are so adamant about doing what we do because of this. I mean, because you're right, we do. I could drive anywhere in this country and pull up a map of where an SF brother is, and guaranteed that I could show up at his house and have a steak and a beer with that man or that family.
Right.
I know this for a fact, and I would be welcomed with open arms. That's how tight we are.
With no questions. Just come on over.
No questions.
No questions.
And we'll get drunk, we'll argue. Old Guardian 6 was probably a 5th grouper. I was a 10th grouper, and obviously 10th group was better than 5th group.
Oh, but what? No, fucking.
But,
7th group is the shit right there.
All right, so we'll drink a lot of beer, we'll fight, and then who's ever left standing was the better group. We know that, right? But again, like I try to come into our family and try to. I'm sorry, I'm going to say this on air. Try to fuck with us and say that you're something you're not. We're coming after you. And I'm not talking about threat. I'm not talking about we're going to show up with the black helicopters, but we're going to out you. All right, that's our mission.
I really want a black helicopter just to descend on someone who's just trying to do stuff. I really want to hear that at some point. So when you join, or when you want to join, and let's say that you get accepted, or you pass SFAS and you go to the Q course, what are the choices as far as the MOSs? I know there's weapons, a linguist, medical. Tell me the rest.
There's the 18 Bravo is weapons guy. 18 Charlie is a engineer. 18 Delta is a medic. 18 Echo is a commo guy, and then we have 18 Foxtrot, which is operations and intelligence, and 18 Zulu is team sergeant. We have each team has a 180 Alpha, which is a warrant officer, who's the second on the team, and then you've got a 18 Alpha captain that makes up the team. So
you guys actually get the warrant officers to show up to formation?
Hey man, I'll tell you what. I've been very fortunate and had really good, and of course I wasn't in when we had lieutenants on there, but I tell you, as a captain coming straight on a team, that warrant officer and that team sergeant, that's what makes it. Because when you're coming in as a captain, your name might be on the line as far as something happening, but those guys are your experts.
Well,
Hey, I just want to give a shout out to Guardian 6 for saying that, because I was a team sergeant, and thank you for that, sir. You're awesome.
No, couldn't have made it. Couldn't have done it.
And you talked about it. You never saw a first lieutenant, but I mean, on your heroes page, there's First Lieutenant George K. Sisler.
Well, that actually,
there is.
Program didn't come in until the 80s. In the early days of SF, from the 52 to the late 70s, early 80s, usually there was a second or first lieutenant and a captain on the team. We didn't have warrant officers, but at that point in the 80s, they saw the need to have that unit integrity that warrant officer could provide, just like the team sergeant. So they took guys who volunteered. They were all SF NCOs, of course, and went the warrant track. And today we've got up through W5s. They're W5s.
The mythical unicorn.
Yeah, they are very unicorn-ish.
Yes, yeah.
But I'll tell you guys.
Hey, I
was around a lot of warrants and when I was an artillery guy and all, and those guys had a history of, maybe sandbagging a little bit, but I'll tell you, at least in my case, the warrant officers I worked with were hard chargers, and you know, they were the backbone with the team sergeant.
That's outstanding, dude.
Yeah, I want to add on to that. They you know, our first class of warrant officers that went through the course, cause was they were all master sergeants or senior E7s. Okay, and it's still a great program. He's absolutely right. You know, the warrant officers are former non-commissioned officers, and they bridge a gap between the non-commissioned officers and the officer. And again, don't sell the officers short on a special forces team. You know, we joke around about them. We say they're tourists. They're only here for a short time. But I want to tell you, one of my best friends, and I went to Desert Storm 1. I went to the first Gulf War with him. Captain Dan Enoch. He was the first lieutenant when he came to the team. He was the best team leader I had. And you know what? A shout out to him. He understood.
And
you know, he understood.
I am a 10th grouper. I know Dan
He
well.
understood.
And I'll send a shout out to my best friend.
Go ahead, Don.
Warrant officer, and George Cermak. And I know.
Yeah,
Don,
George.
And my old team sergeant was Mike Campanelli. And I'm sure you.
Oh yeah.
You know those guys. So
great man.
Yeah, big time.
Guys,
you see what's going on here, cause? I mean, you're talking. I mean, we're talking about men that are just a name of a man that comes in and just warms your heart. I mean, I don't even know Guardian 6, and this is, I mean, as far as serving, why, I mean, we're obviously special forces together, but you can see the brotherhood here, and you can see why we're so adamant about what we do.
And dude, the smile, my face hurts. This is so great. And I just like to say, on behalf of WTF Station Radio, and it's just, we embrace you guys, man. We absolutely embrace and endorse Guardians of the Green Beret as, you know, just, you know, wow. You guys are one of a kind. You already began your mission as one of a kind, and then you just regrouped after everything was done. And you guys also have active duty and also retirees or folks that have just decided to get out. You guys are all a family, man, and it's just really great to hear your positive fucking message, just to protect your family,
heritage,
your heritage.
We're going to protect our heritage and our legacy.
And I don't mean that as a sideways comment. It's just we entirely, and I've already been given the go ahead by the head shed to say, yeah, absolutely, we endorse you guys.
I just want to say, and we got that word, and by all means, we not only do we accept your endorsement, but we accept your endorsement, and we endorse you for bringing us on here, because this is, I mean, we have a big following, and I just want to say, you know, the reason we do this is we need to protect our resources reserved for truly deserving heroes instead of these squandered on these frauds. It's in our nature as special forces to protect our brothers and our lineage, and that's important, our history and our lineage. We do this to honor those that have earned and deserve the right to wear the Green Beret, to honor those that paid the ultimate price while serving as Green Berets, to uphold the honor of the Special Forces Regiment. Okay, this is the whole thing, cause the whole big picture, the regiment itself. We also honor those individuals that actually admiredly gave it their best and didn't quite earn it, but still hold their heads high, saying that at least they tried. These are the guys that are out there not posing as Green Berets and say, hey, I tried. You know, so I just want to add that in there. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit passionate about this, but this is why we do this. And again, I say I'm new to this, and you know, Guardian 6 has been doing this. We have other individuals that do this, and some guys, this is their mission now. All right, because they want to guard the regiment. They want to honor the history and the lineage and those that have paid the ultimate price.
From a class of 300 and 100 graduate or make it to the next level, and let's say you have 100, and of those 100, 30 might graduate and make it to the next level. I mean, you guys are the best of the best. And to have someone try to infringe on that honor and that notoriety, it's not even notoriety, just that honor of having the Green Beret it pisses me off, and I'm nowhere near of being, SF quality. That's just not cool.
We agree.
And that's why you were here.
That's right. We appreciate you giving us a forum.
Oh, dude, anytime that you guys want to come back, just send Spanky or Mom a little message saying, "Hey, man, we have some information, or we got something that we want to say, and we'll make a home for you."
Sounds great, man.
Well, I tell you, again, thank you for bringing us on. We do have the the word from the top head shed from your side and our side that we're going to endorse each other. This is awesome. We'd love to come back again because this is an ongoing mission. This is not going to end. And like I said before earlier in the conversation, I dare you to pose as a Green Beret because we're going to find you. We're going to out you. And, this is not a threat. This is just the reality of it is that we're not the SEALs. We're not making a lot of movies. I know a movie just came out about, the ODA that went in, and it was a phenomenal team. I want to give a shout out to them. We are truly the quiet professionals, and we're going to continue to do what we do to protect our regiment, our lineage, and our brothers.
You guys are the fucking best, dude. I've got goosebumps and a smile on my face, and the hair on the back of my neck is standing up. And this is, I've been out of the Army for 20 plus years, and you make me want to fucking reenlist and just do some shit. Anyway, this is Guardians of the Green Beret. If you go to Facebook, it's Guardians of the Green Beret. Where is my list? You have like Instagrams and Twitters and everything else. Facebook.com, Guardians of the Green Beret. Their website is the regular www.guardiansofthegreenberet.com. Jesus. Instagram. Yep. The only one is weird is your Twitter. They have a Twitter, GB Posers. Twitter.com/GB Posers. Did I cover it all? Instagram is Guardians of the Green Beret too.
Yeah. We started out as SF Posers, and then we went to Green Beret Posers, and then we had a little snafu with Facebook, and they actually dumped us, and we were able. Yeah, we were able to.
They got zucked.
And when we had one of our main guys talk to the guys at Facebook and explain to them the purpose and all, they ended up giving us back everything, fully supporting us. So we went with Guardians of Green Beret, and that's why we're very careful on our side of looking. Basically, if you make any kind of threatenings, let's go kick these guys' asses or whatever, we're going to delete that stuff because we're not. We don't want to
just understand. We cause we were going head at them, and then we just flanked them. So a shout out to Facebook for
doing the right thing, doing the
our
fucking
SF
right
tactics. Yeah, doing the right thing. They did. They really did.
I can hate on Facebook for days, but I appreciate you saying that, and it's good that it's brought out in public. They've done a right thing.
Yeah.
They did in this point, and you know what? We talked. I say we. One of our primary individuals of Guardians of Green Beret actually talked to one of the head Facebook executives. And again, I just want to say this. The only reason we got that meeting with one of the top execs of Facebook is because Special Forces knows how to network, and it was a Special Forces brother that put us in touch with one of the Facebook executives, and they did the right thing. They did, and it was a weird small. It was just a keyword of posers that made them a little bit nervous, and then they did the right thing. And again, you know how social media can be crazy.
Oh yeah.
But now we're back we're full in swing. and they support us 100%, and we're doing what they've asked us, and they're giving us, they've opened up our range a little bit more left and right, and now we're back on track.
That's great. I'm fucking happy for that. I really, guys, I really want you to send us some updates, or come back on the show, please, please, please. It would be awesome.
Hell yeah!
You guys are doing great work, protecting your brothers, and I'm really, really happy and proud and humbled that you would be here with us on WTF Nation Radio. I fucking appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No problem, buddy.
Cool.
Cool.
And thanks for having us. We look forward to being back.
All right.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
This is Randy Couture, and you're listening to WTF Nation Radio. This is Randy Couture, and you're listening to WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is WTF Nation Radio. My name is Kaz, and we're back for the third hour of this beautiful show on the 19th day of January in the year of our Lord, 2018. I'm still here. I'm still here with Pookie, right?
Right.
What's up, brother?
Oh, that was a good interview. These guys are legit.
I don't know if I've talked to anybody so passionate about what they do. The Guardians of the Green Beret, obviously, if you're a Green Beret, you have a brotherhood, and it pisses me off to think about someone who would try to glom onto that and pretend, and then gain or attempt to gain some notoriety or some credence or some gravitas, I suppose that's a word, to advance their whatever, whether they're and there's, if you go to guardiansofthegreenberet.com, you'll see, heroes and zeros. If you go to the zeros page, there's like a never-ending list of people. Some of these guys are just dirtbags, and I kind of wanted to get into the have you guys ever investigated someone who was just like so obviously not, that it was very easy, or were there more difficult investigations? But guys that, like they said, running for political office, claiming to be a Green Beret. One of the guys was an author, wrote books about whatever, and claimed to be a Green Beret. So
was it Tom Clancy?
No, it's not Tom Clancy. Tom Clancy never claimed to be a Green Beret. He's very.
I'll just pull.
He's very read in. I mean, he's got a lot of information, but But really, man, how many? Is it balls or stupidity that would make you want to claim to be a Green Beret?
I don't know. I was going to ask them that, but they came out and said they have no idea why people do it. And I mean, to me, I was just like, I was so confused. I was like why, like why? And there's
I suppose it's easy, especially, and that's why I kind of posed the question. If you were in a unit that was attached to a special forces, regiment. Or a battalion, rather, or whatever unit. If you're the cook, then, hey, I'm a special forces guy. And then you kind of carry that forward into your other military life or into your civilian life. I don't understand that mindset.
Well, he did bring something up about like the unit having a uniform standard.
True,
yeah. And I experienced that, and it made me so disgusted because I hate airborne with a passion. Because jumping out of no, everyone can get mad about me. I won't jump out of. I'll be a leg all damn day long. You won't catch me dead jumping out of a perfectly good airplane. That's just my opinion. Okay. Maybe I don't have the balls to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. Maybe I have the common sense not to do it. I don't know what it is, but I got stuck in an airborne unit, and we had what's that called? Payday activities, where we had to dress up in our uniforms.
Yeah.
And it made me put that nasty ass maroon beret on and wear jump boots, and I wasn't even qualified to jump out of a damn. I was like, to me personally, that's an insult to those airborne guys, because I wouldn't want anyone wearing a black beret, infantry guy kind of shit. You get what I'm saying?
I kind of do. I thought that was a slam on the 82nd.
Oh God, no, dude. I won't slam them guys. They do a job.
But to make you dress up as though you were an airborne soldier.
It made me feel sick to my stomach a little bit, I wasn't. I was. It was like stolen valor, but I was forced to do it. You know, like, I was like, dude, I need a black beret. I just need regular dress shoes because I'm just a combo dog and I don't deserve this shit. You know, like that's the way I looked at it.
I'd never wore a beret. I'm a patrol cap guy.
I was so happy when they got rid of that shit.
They did, because it was all patrol cap unless if your ranger is black. If you're a green beret, of course it's green. If you're a ranger, it's black. I misspoke there. If you're a ranger, it's black. If you're was he black, green, and maroon?
It was tan, maroon.
Tan. What is the tan one?
The Rangers, and there's this whole story behind this, and I don't know if it's true. I guess some general failed out, or some officer failed out of the Ranger school or something. He just wanted to wear a beret, so he made everyone wear a beret. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure of that. I was out by then.
Shinseki was the name of the guy who made us all switch to berets once upon a time.
Yeah, because wearing a beret in Fort Hood when it's like 110 degrees out, is just awesome.
Yeah, I don't remember the whole rhyme or reason behind it. I just remember we all had to switch, and then,
I hated that shit.
Yeah. But then we switched back, and now we only wear the if we have to look pretty.
Yeah. Well, you got to look pretty. Wear the thing, but
if you got to get the entire battalion in the same uniform.
I just didn't understand the whole I'm not an airborne guy. I should have my black beret, and y'all should have your red beret. I don't want to be part of that.
So there was no way really back in the day to separate the legs from the actual airborne soldiers.
If you were in an airborne unit, you were wearing a red beret at that point. I mean, it's 2008 time frame, so. Okay. But I honestly hated it. I hated it. I was like, why are you making me wear this crap? Because I'm smart enough not to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. That was my brain set to it. But whatever.
I totally understand that.
Give me a Humvee. I was a hardcore mechanized guy. Give me a Humvee. Give me some armor. I'm down. But that's just me, man. Whatever.
Go whatever with whatever. Well, shit, man. Hey, you got something to BS about? I got a whole stack of paper here we can BS about. I really don't want to talk about the. I haven't seen any new news about the budget, if they've reached an agreement. So I really don't want to talk about the budget because the news that I had at the beginning of the show is not current to what's really happening. So.
I just know that I almost guarantee you they're just playing this game, and come 11:59, everything will be fine again.
Or they'll kick the can down the fucking road. Really, I mean, because they kicked the can down the road for 2 days, and now there's a deadline, and I'm thinking they'll kick the can down the road. From what I read, I believe President Trump wants a 1 month kick the can down the road as opposed to either a couple of days or a week.
Well, that's what I thought I heard Thursday night, that they came to the agreement where they were going to wait 4 weeks before they discussed this, but I guess they changed their mind on it. I don't know.
Is this the day that they said we're going to wait a couple of days? I don't know. These guys are mysterious. I don't know. They're all pieces of crap.
It's like some wizardry crap that I don't understand.
In my opinion. And that's just my opinion, man. I just think that not every...
honestly think common sense, high school graduate could figure out their job, but they overcomplicate it. So I mean, that's just my opinion.
We just got word that the Senate is voting right now.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah,
maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't.
Tune in to C-SPAN.
But that's all on Eastern time. So I mean, by the time this show ends, that's 11?
They'll have an hour. It's 11. It's 11. They'll have an hour to vote still. They got an hour and 30 minutes right now as we speak.
But it's just, all these. I've got a lot of respect for our leadership, but it just seems like once you get to that position, what you are doing when you're voting for this or that, or you're proposing laws for this or that, or you're just preserving your own.
They're not voting with their constituents, is what I always say. Like they're there for their own political goal. Their job is job security. Like, did they ask? Like, I have not seen a tweet out from a single senator saying, "What do you think about this?" Because I'd love to see that.
I haven't either. I mean, everyone knows in their heart, if you're in a position of leadership, is the head guy says, "Hey, we want to do this." In your heart, at that time, which way you're going to go. Either it's a yes or it's a no. And there's not a maybe. There's no maybe there. It's you either agree or you disagree. As far as being in a position of power, as far as the laws are made in the country, you're like, well, if I vote yes, I lose this, I get this, I lose this, I get this. If you're at on the other way, it's I lose this, I get this, I lose this, I get this. And it's a balancing act of what makes more sense for me. And that's where I have a problem with the way that politicians run. I mean, and you mentioned earlier, we were talking privately, like Nancy Pelosi, she earns, let's say, $100,000 a year. But her net worth, and she's been in Congress for however fucking many
forever, like since before I was even in existence, probably even my mom was in existence at this point.
But
so
she's got this net worth of it's like this big.
Oh, 30, I think it's close to 30 million. Close to, not 30 million.
If she saved every penny, didn't spend shit, and ate nothing, she would not accumulate that kind of wealth. So there's a lot of
disconnect.
There's a lot of if I vote for you, you're going to give me money in my reelection coffers. So, and that all goes to them. And the same goes for fucking Bradley Manning. He wants to run for fucking senator. Great. Awesome.
No.
Oh yeah, it's a big note for me, but he's going to announce, "Hey, I'm Bradley Manning. I'm a chick, and look at my Adam's apple, and I'm going to run for Senate, and I want to represent you, and this is my platform." He's going to get a lot of money going into his election campaign. That election campaign money becomes his. There's nothing stopping him. I mean, he's got to pay his people, but the rest remains.
Well, at one point, do you got to look at, okay, these are your representatives. We live like I say, everyone says we live in a democracy. We don't live in a democracy. We live in a democratic republic. We elect people to do our job for us, pretty much.
A representative republic, yeah.
How many of them actually represent their constituents? That's the big issue right now. When you hear a politician say, I think, that's a shut off right there. You should not vote for that person. That's just my opinion.
Well, you vote for a person because they say, I think. This is my view. It's not a we thing, it's an I thing.
It's an I thing, but then once they get in there, it stays the I thing. It doesn't become the we thing.
There's very few. I think Rand Paul is good to a point. He's kind of
Rand Paul. Oh no, I love his budget spending thing, waste thing that he does every year. It's amazing. I wish more senators and congressmen would do that.
I like Trey Gowdy. I think he's pretty fucking solid as far as the Constitution goes. And I've never really heard a personal view from Trey. I've never really heard a personal view of Rand Paul, to be honest. But I like the way that they roll. Is it libertarian? Is it conservative? I don't know. Ron
Paul is borderline libertarian, I would say. but he won't come full out with it.
Right.
You know, he won't come out the closet
No,
with it.
because he'd never get reelected. It's whatever good for them. If Rand Paul came out and said, I'm a libertarian, I think did his dad do that? Or no, his dad went to independent, Ron Paul. And you know, he's just old. And then he lost. He was from Houston. But you know, just to it takes a lot of balls to actually fucking stand for something. No, I'm, you know, pulling something out of my head. I'm against abortion. Period. This is where the fucking stake is. Let's discuss the points. And
okay, you said the abortion thing. I hate that word, but what if like 40% of your constituents agree with it and 60% don't agree with it? You know, like that's kind of where you know, like weigh the line. Like I gotta represent these people.
Find a new fucking district, man.
Well, speaking of new district, did you see that California thing?
With immigration?
No. Like that whole that new California thing. Like they had a Declaration of Independence and everything.
Yeah, with those small counties that kind of encompass L.A. and down the coast. Is that the one?
No, that's they want to separate from the coastline because they're like these counties right now are like tyrannical. They're telling us what to do, and we don't agree with this. You know, they won't listen to us. They don't represent us. We want separated.
Okay.
And they're following like an old West Virginia, like when Virginia split into Virginia and West Virginia law.
I understand. I understand. So these small counties down the coast of California are saying, no, we're not going to let these their parent county tell them what to do, so they want to separate. So it appears to me that they're, and I'm really assuming here, they're more conservative. They're like, no, fuck you. We want.
Well, if you take a look at the California map, if you get a chance to during the election, and you know, like most of it's red. California is a very red state. But you've got L.A., which like 90% of the population of California lives in.
It's the population center.
Swings the entire vote. And they're sick of it. They're like, we want separated, and we want to be able to represent ourselves in elections. And I don't know, I agree with that. But, you know, and I'm devil advocate. That's borderline gerrymandering in my eyes, you know.
We've had some gerrymandering in Texas. They, you know, every few years they try to realign the districts. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, and when it doesn't, you know, the left screams, and when it doesn't, the right screams. And I'm sure that happens if it's allowed in the state constitution. Yeah, I'm sure it happens a lot.
Well, that's where I get into this. Like I'm a firm believer that if like a city population, like the city zone reaches a certain population, it should become a district. Like you've got like the district of Los Angeles, the district of
gotcha, yeah.
Like the same way DC does it, you know, like they should become their own separate entity. They should elect their own people, and they should be separated from the state at that point because they are so populous. You know, they need their own government at that point.
Like, I mean, I could see the same thing. I'm sorry, I could see the same thing starting to happen in Texas because, you know, our large cities are blue. It's just that, you know, our population is still, I guess,
totally spanky.
Split.
I mean,
that we're still red state, but our cities are blue, like the way they vote.
And I really believe that in due time, Texas will be a blue state. And I don't say that with a smile on my face. I'm just thinking of Houston, Austin, and Dallas. Those three cities are going to turn this entire state blue.
In San Antonio.
That's wrong.
Is San Antonio blue leaning?
Yes, it is too. And with, like I said, with those 4, you know, large population centers, I'm surprised that we are still, you know, a red state.
You know what's crazy?
And that's where I get. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, that's what I'm getting with this district thing. Like, if a city populace becomes so powerful that it can swing an entire state's vote, it needs to become its own entity at that point. Like District of New York. You know, New York is a red state almost, except for one little city controls that entire state. And it's not fair for the people. You know, they're not properly getting represented at that
So
point.
if you go by like counties or in New York, I guess they're boroughs. If the borough, oh my gosh, that's so much bookkeeping. If a borough if a borough is blue, then that section of the borough is blue. And that would be like a lot more resolution as far as the way the country votes. That would increase the resolution.
Yes, no, it would agree, because then those like districts can split themselves into their own counties. I guess, well, I wouldn't say counties, but districts at that point. You know, like district, they have like for instance, New York City has how many boroughs? It's like 5, 6 boroughs.
Yeah, but if you continue dividing by 2 and divide by 2 and divide by 2 and divide by 2, then you're going to have like this neighbor is a red neighbor and this neighbor is a blue neighbor. It'll come to that at some point.
You got to adjust for the population. I mean, look at the last elections map. I mean, it wasn't like 90% of America leaning red, but most of the votes were blue votes.
Well, true, because they focused on the population centers as a whole, and that's why Hillary won the majority of the individual votes, is because they were counting Detroit and New York City and Houston and Los Angeles and you know, all the major population centers of the United States.
So the reason why we have the electoral college essentially is to keep one major populated area from, like, why can't the states do that? That's my big question.
Oh, so like a little electoral college per state.
Per state, it's like, okay, Pittsburgh gets 2 points, but you know, the rest of the state, you know, or New York City gets the majority, but still it's split, you know, like, but it's still down to the states at that point.
So it's like
it's a district.
Pittsburgh plus Philadelphia equals 2 points divided by the rest of the fucking state that is the other.
Yeah, I mean, that's a better way to represent people at that point, because if you got a city that's like pretty much swinging the entire, that's leaving the rest of the state unrepresented at that point.
I think you got a point, man. That's a really good point. Make it more representative rather than the entire state is. I mean, it's like Ohio. Ohio is very red, but then you got, you know, Cleveland and Cincinnati and fucking Columbus.
Pennsylvania is the same way. Pennsylvania is an extremely red state. Like, the majority of Pennsylvania agree with, like, you know, they're conservatives, but their whole the entire vote swings on Pittsburgh and Philadelphia.
Do you think it's because the larger cities have more of a I'm searching for the word here, more generous with the benefits, more generous with the not benefits. Benefits means like you've earned something, so it's a benefit, but more of a giveaway, more of a giveaway.
I could agree with that. I think like a lot of people that live in cities do rely on these public services, like public transportation.
You know,
that makes sense.
And some people need that, but you know, it shouldn't be a crutch. It should be, you know, it should help you. But dude, don't fucking rely on it. I mean, when you rely for so long, when you rely on a government service, a free service, something is given to you for fucking nothing. All you got to do is fill out a little bit of paperwork for nothing. And then someone says, you know, we're going to revamp this. You actually have to qualify for these benefits. I'm going to use that word like with my tongue in my cheek. You're going to get some pushback away from the people that have received these benefits for a very, very long time. Whether it's food.
Well, I could get the big argument right now with, like, say, the DC area. I live close to it. That it affects a lot of like the Virginia area. Virginia is a very red state until you get close to DC. people are like, well, what about public transportation? Blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. Well, public transportation where I live is non-existent. We don't rely on it. We rely on getting around on our own. But we've got certain representatives or senators are like, well, we need better transportation infrastructure. That's not what your state is looking for. You know, like that's, you get what I'm saying.
I really wish everyone who is making up a budget for wherever, I don't care if you're in Idaho or if you're in Montana or New York City, this is your revenue. This is what you have. What do you want to spend it on? And once the fucking pie has been devoured, there's no more. So do a proper budget. Do your freaking job. You're a financial manager. I mean, as far as the budget goes, you can't take money from something that's not there. It's got to be a real thing. I don't care. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. How much revenue do you have as a city of Milwaukee? Great. We have $46 million. Okay. We're going to take $10 million and give it to this, you know, for roads or this, that, or the other. There's got to be some serious thought about the management of money. And
there's also a lack of investment too.
It all starts.
That's a big thing too.
Well, infrastructure is a thing. Absolutely, it is.
Well, I mean, infrastructure is a thing, but it doesn't produce revenue unless you're throwing tools on it. Like, well, okay, you want to talk economics? Let's talk about like, okay, my city is struggling right now with small business. Invest into that. Bring income into the city. You know, that's where we're lacking.
But do you think? But do you think, like, let's say in a city of, I don't want to seem too large, but not like an L.A. or a Chicago thing. Detroit has seen an immense amount of depopulation. Everyone's getting the fuck out of Detroit.
That's happening in my state right now. Virginia, there's a big depopulation in Virginia, and they just keep raising the taxes. It's just going to wind up being like Detroit.
But do you think that there's like a I saw a comment earlier, even John Owl said that, it's like a mob mentality. Is who's going to, you know, and I'm going to interpret what he just put in a couple of words is, you know, you're going to take my shit. Is that guy going to promise me shit? I'm going to vote for that guy. And then it's a vicious cycle. The state budget or the city budget just goes down because all these guys, all these people elected this fucker who is going to give us free shit, and it just goes around and around and around.
I mean, okay, this is my theory. I'm going to go into the corporate tax thing. Everyone freaked out about, like, we reduced the corporate tax, end of the world, you know, blah, 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 we're all going to die, you know?
No, I thought that was a good thing.
Well, I think personally that's a good thing. But say a city like Detroit, for instance, is struggling right now to make revenue. So they say, we're going to, any business that builds in our city right now gets a 5-year tax-free, you're free to build here. Do what you need to do. It's tax-free for 5 years. And after that, it's going to be 10% lower than the rest of the United States. What would you think would happen to that city?
Boom.
Yes. There would be a major boom in that city.
But then, what happens after that 10 years?
You got to compete, man. And that's the problem is these states aren't I mean, the states are supposed to compete with each other, but, you know, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you tax the shit out of the corporations, they don't want to be there, and that's what happened with Detroit. Right
now, there's a. It's not a fight. Amazon is looking for a second corporate headquarters, and they've narrowed it down to 20 cities. There's every one of them except for 2, unless I misread that, are in Texas or in tax-free states. Corporate tax. I mean, I'm misspeaking here, but there's no in the state of Texas. You don't have a state income tax.
No income tax.
And they're very, very corporate friendly.
Well, Florida, especially. Florida's a good state, too.
Florida's the same one. I don't know if there's a list in Florida for Amazon, but Austin, and Dallas are on the finals list. I'm really thinking it's going to be one of those two. My gut tells me it's going to be Austin, only because Amazon seems to me, and it just seems to me, that they're the other side of the aisle from me, because Austin is just very, very liberal. I don't have a lot of problem with liberals, except for they want free shit and they embrace fucking weird crap. And they don't seem logical. They don't seem logical. It's just not. It doesn't fit up here. I can understand it, but it just when everything boils down, you want
there's such thing as a free lunch. That's all I gotta say.
You want
man.
all this free shit, but when it boils down, it's like, okay, who the fuck is gonna pay for all this crap that you want? And it never pans out. I'm not saying the right side is much better, but it seems to be that there's a little bit more logic on the right. You know, and these are just my opinions. I don't want to sway anyone. I'm thinking out loud.
Well, to bring it back to the whole tax thing, is you heard all these senators, senators talking, oh, it's going to we reduced our taxes. It's going to destroy our economy. I think there's only like one senator in the entire, or House member in the entire group that has an economics degree, and I think it's like Dave Brat or something. And he's he's District 7, I think, in my state.
He's a congressman?
Yeah, he's a congressman. Yeah, I think, like, honest to God, I mean, he's the only one that has a economics degree.
And is he a freshman? Is he new?
I think he got elected 2 years ago, so he's relatively new. But I mean,
and he's probably got some really great ideas that really make sense. But is anyone in his team or in any other congressman paying attention to him? He might have some. He's like the fucking E4 in a platoon when a fucking E7 or the first sergeant's making a fucking decision, and they don't listen to
it gets back to the. Did you see that meme floating around about the chicken broth?
E4s and PFCs have some of the best fucking ideas, and they're really matter of fact, common sense bullshit. But then the leadership doesn't pay attention because they're not one of the group. Yeah.
So that's what I was saying. Did you see that meme floating around about like, I want to join an army. Tell me about the army. And the guy was like, well, just imagine a giant pot of soup or something like that. And everyone's trying to eat it with a fork. And you're like, well, it's easier to eat it with a spoon. But we've been eating it with a fork forever. You know, like.
that actually is spot on. So is the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What's it like being in the Army? And it's a guy eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but the peanut butter is on the outside of one side of the sandwich and the jelly is on the outside of the other.
But when you try to tell them, it's oh no, this is the way we do it.
We've always done it this way. You know, at the end of the day, you still get to eat your sandwich or drink your soup or whatever.
Yeah, drink your soup with a fork.
Dude, that would take such a long time. I'll bet you we have some smart fuckers here that can do the fucking math. Given 8 ounces of soup, how long would it take you to drink 8 ounces of soup with a fork without tipping the bowl and drinking it out of the bowl? I don't
know. That's math beyond my math.
You know, the surface area of a fork with 4 tongs versus 5 is.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if there's anyone listening right now that can figure that out mathematically, go apply to NASA because you're super fucking genius.
NASA, MIT, just yeah. I don't mean to like. Do you have like housekeeping prepared, or is Spanky still awake? Or did she fall asleep in the tub?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, I knew you were here.
Of course I'm here. Y'all started talking about food. I'm listening.
Okay.
But,
yeah,
I'm getting
we were,
a straw, and
we were
I'm tipping
talking
the
about
bowl.
soup.
Yeah,
Okay,
and peanut butter
so
and jelly.
if Spanky had this luscious bowl of chicken broth, and the only tool,
Oh, I'm tipping the bowl.
and no, and you can't tip the bowl.
Oh, yes, I can.
Because if you tip the bowl, you'd be shot in the head, and you'll die, and you'll not be able to enjoy the soup. How many forkfuls of soup would it take for you to finish the bowl?
I've never been one to play by the rules because I'm the one that's going to be the one that raising my hand, even since I was a private. Like, this doesn't make sense.
Well,
I can't follow those rules.
It kind of hurts your brain to try to follow that logic, doesn't it?
It always had.
That's why we love you.
That's why I was always called stubborn. I'm stubborn.
No, there's stubborn, there's logical, but with a man in the position of what Ice does anyone question him or do they ask questions?
I mean, but I have a spork, at least.
Sporks.
That would work. That would work.
Exactly, because it's not a fork. It's not a spoon. It's a spork.
A universal tool.
Really, I mean, I was also one of those like forgiveness is better than permission sometimes. And like.
I've done that a lot, and that's gotten me into a lot of trouble, and I like it.
Yeah, me too.
It's a good philosophy to live by, though. Sometimes it's easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission, man. 100%.
I've never had. I don't think I've ever gotten in trouble. Unless otherwise directed, I'm doing this.
I'm going to use my spork and eat my broth. I'll go ahead and use your forks.
And just say, well, you never told me.
The broth has disappeared out the bowl, though. And, mission has been accomplished.
But you had to eat 100% of that broth at that point.
And it's impossible with a fork, so without tipping the bowl. I gave you some parameters, and you worked around them. So
mission's been accomplished. Broth is eaten.
And the mission is not accomplished.
It's done. I ate the broth. I'm full and warm and happy.
Who among us has a housekeeping tomorrow? Do we have a guest tomorrow?
We do actually. Tomorrow we have John Peck.
Oh, dude!
He is
fuck the arm guy. Yes, I fucking love John Peck.
Oh God.
Yes, he is a Marine Corps veteran, a quadruple amputee, and double arm transplant. He'll be back on update on what he's been up to and how he's doing. Tuesday, the 23rd, we have Todd Thompson and Steve Rubin from the WAVES Project. WAVES is actually an acronym that stands for Wounded American Veterans Experience Scuba. They provide wounded American veterans and their families the opportunity to experience scuba diving.
Scuba, like underwater.
Yes.
The only mission you have when you're underwater is to not die.
I mean, and hopefully see some cool stuff.
Dude,
I would think.
I work with a lot of people that do scuba. I'm like, dude, that's just like you are submerged. You are like as soon as you go beneath water, you have just graduated to the lowest form of life. I mean, there's fuckers out there that'll kill you. As soon as you go underwater, you become one of the lower.
Unless you're a badass and just punch sharks in the face, but
unless you're Tim Kennedy.
And then next Thursday, the 25th, we have Dan coming on from Hire Our Heroes. He is also a Marine Corps veteran. He's the founder of Hire Our Heroes. They're a full-service staffing and recruiting solutions firm exclusively for veterans.
Dude, I had no idea. I've been to their website.
Right? It was actually part of my transition. They told us about these guys. They're a not-for-profit organization founded by veterans for veterans. They partner with organizations and people who share their vision. They offer veterans a cost-free transition experience. They'll secure opportunities for employment so our veteran population can cultivate their talents, traits, and aptitudes.
Dude, if veterans would just fucking, rather than simply ETS, just my time is done, I'm gone. Start networking. Just talk to people. This is what I do. This is who I am. This is my experience. Whether you have education or not, there are people that want you. So why not be a part of a community that'll like piece that all together and then send that shit out to the world? Hell yeah.
And then next Friday, we have Uper Chick. She is an Army veteran and photographer. He'll be on to talk about what she does for military women and military entrepreneurs as an e-mentor. She e-mentors in several areas: careers, family life, and mental health.
Who got a hold of her?
I believe this was Mom. Yep, because we've been finding lots of people out there on the Twitter.
An e-mentor. An e-mentor. Yes. That's strange to me.
I know. Guess we'll find out what all she has to offer next Friday. And that's who all we have coming up next week.
Well, shit. I guess I'll have to tune in. I mean, I'm here anyway. But those are really exciting. To be honest, I don't get onto our we have a discussion board where all these guests are outlined and there's a bio. I got on there tonight and it's like, here's their bio. You can't read none of that shit. If you could read Guardian 6 and Dom's bio, it's like, well, fuck, I suck as a human. These guys are awesome. But then there's that caveat. It's like, no, this is redacted. You can't, no. And I was going to make a graphic tonight that just says, hey, this is Guardian 6. This is who Guardian 6 is. He is a member of Guardians of the Green Beret. Guardian 6 did just black line, black line, black line, black line, black line.
Redacted.
Yeah, it's all redacted. Every fucking word. So that was really great to get the cut sheet, but it's like, hey, these are your guests. You can't read this. I'm like, all right. This is going to be fun. Anyway, WTF Nation, this is Kaz and Pookie and Spanky.
Hey.
Let me play this because we're kind of badass. I really should have done this through the house cleaning type thing, but you guys have been a lot of fun. Thank you, Minx. Minx has been out saving lives and doing surgery and things. And it's been a lot of fun being here as your host. My very, very, very first time here on Friday Night Freedom. I would like to thank Pookie and Spanky for being here as support. You guys did a great fucking job, and I really appreciate it. I'd like to give a big old shout out for Guardians of the Green Beret. You can go to guardiansofthegreenberet.com, Facebook, Twitter, any social media. Just search it. They're there. They do a solid freaking job. You guys have anything?
No, just don't drink and drive. Don't kick your dog and don't beat your wife. There you go.
Hey, we got shows this week, right? You guys got Saturday Night Savagery tomorrow?
Oh yes, we do.
And then Monday is the Monday edition. Tuesday is Tuesday Tied Up Tuesdays. Wednesday's our day off.
Actually, Wednesdays. You might catch WTF Nation Gaming on there.
Gaming is on?
That's a new thing we're working on. So come check us out. Me and KJ are working on that. So check it out.
Good
you might
stuff,
see us
dude.
on there.
I'm not a gamer, so I'm not gonna like. Thursdays is Sergeant's Time with Ice. And then Friday we're back with Friday Night Freedom with Manx.
Ooh, you forgot the green room.
Oh, the green room is on Sundays at the normal time. Jason and Charlie do a fucking outstanding job. It's a 420 friendly. It's a medical marijuana, recreational marijuana for veterans friendly thing. And dude, these guys are my heart, man. I love them. So I really hope that you guys will tune in, especially for, Sunday show is a really it's a great show because you have so much information that's thrown at you. Because the beginning of the show usually is more like Tom Brady, football, college. Hey, yes. Pot. Hey, dude. Hey, we're gonna treat PTSD or my whatever these symptoms are with marijuana, and then it'll go right back into football or sports or whatever. So yeah, you kind of have to.
You'll have fun.
Anyway, it's a good time. We have an effort to get a Wednesday thing going, and it's in the works. It's going to happen. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. This is Kaz. I love you very much, and WTF Nation Radio is out. That was fucking awkward.
But what?
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.